How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you seen the
Please.
work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
great
her.
noticer sent $200.
Literally.
So
not
it's,
Ian.
it's not a because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is
problem.
that what you call reporting?
Go
and live
under if
streaming?
you're going to do it.
Yeah,
go
seriously.
undercover. Otherwise, you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah.
But
Please.
Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
I watch these streams, and I've been watching a self-professed fascist named Karlyn, who drinks and basically roasts these live streams. But weirdly, she has apparently embedded herself with Antifa before, and so it's such a funny stream because like,
so they tolerate her.
Oh no, not anymore. She like, no. She's like, I mean, I don't know if she's trolling or not, but on her stream, she's like, I am a fascist.
Right.
So she's proudly proclaiming she's a fascist. I don't know how much of that is trolling, how much of it is real, but conservatives who are drawn to her stream will say things like, these people are funded by George Soros. And it's the funniest thing because she gets so mad. And she's like, get off fucking Fox News. Stop watching that shit. It's all wrong. Do these people look funded? Do these people look like they have money? They're not funded. It's so, and I guess her bigger point is by saying these are funded agitators and not saying what they actually are, which is anti-capitalist revolutionaries, you dilute what's really happening. Because what's really happening, according to her, and I think a fair amount of people, is that the economy is so fucked. The middle class is diminishing so much. The cost of living is so high that this is the perfect soil you need if you wanted communism to grow anywhere.
And I've learned a lot from Karlyn Borysenko, who goes in undercover with the left. And I've figured out from looking at her work, like when I first saw her stuff, I was like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I need to like connect with her. And she actually, the first time I got assaulted in 2025, followed me and sent me messages, and she checked on me for months, just privately. It was so nice to have somebody like, are you okay? But I could tell she knew what she was talking about, and I subscribe to her. I look at all her stuff. I've learned so much, and I thought I knew a lot. I've learned so much.
What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? Happy Tuesday. Is anything going on in the world? Anything going on today? I got caught in a torrential downpour today and basically had to drive my car through a fucking river. That was a new one. I was worried about that. My car is relatively low to the ground. I've never driven it through a river before. I just got the damn car a couple months ago. And all of a sudden, I'm driving it through a river in the middle of my town because of a torrential downpour. And so that was pretty interesting. Hey, it looks like Tommy here thinks he knows what he's talking about, and yet he has no fucking idea. No fucking idea. Tommy, we'll get back to you in a second. W. John, thank you so much for starting us off with a gifted channel membership. If for no other reason than for the next couple days, we are going to be raising money for the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail Fund. For real though. That I'll tell you guys more about that in a second. But let's talk about this. Trump just designated Antifa pussies as domestic terrorists. Well, no, Tommy, no, he didn't just do that. He did that in May of last year. Trump did not just designate Antifa as domestic terrorists. He did that in May of 2025. Over a year ago. Well over a year ago. It's not against any laws to take out a terrorist. Well, you could have fucking fooled me, because they've been running wild all over the country ever since Trump designated them as a terrorist organization. Their days are numbered. And guys, this right here, this retard chat is the perfect example of why the left will win and the right will lose. Because the right will lie to themselves and completely unhinge themselves from fucking reality in order to uphold their narrative that the dear leader Trump is going to save them. Except that's never going to happen. Antifa's been designated as a domestic terrorist organization for well over a year. And in that time, Trump has cucked to them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. He has lied to the public about what is going on. He has lied to the public repeatedly about we're going to get their funding. Do you guys remember? You guys, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. More retard chat. Hilarious. The left can't win one House race. Oh, and yet they are the current mayor of New York City. Current mayor of New York City. They can't win one horse race. AOC is in Congress. Bernie Sanders is in Congress. Ilhan Omar is in Congress. Ayanna Pressley is in Congress. There are like 5 or 6 other DSA members that are like currently in Congress right now. They have the current mayor of New York City. They control all the politicians basically in New York City and in other cities in New York as well. They control the city council in Seattle. They control the city council in Portland. They control the city council in Burlington, Vermont. They are currently taking over Madison, Wisconsin, and have shut down several city blocks. They completely control Minneapolis, Minnesota. Need I go on? Need I go on? Or are actually, you know what, bro? You know what, Tommy? You know what? I've made a decision. You're too stupid to be here, bro. I'm very sorry. I have to deport retards like you from the channel. You cannot be allowed to speak. Conservative retards having freedom of speech is actually one of the biggest problems that we face in this country right now. Because every time conservative retards open their mouth, just the most insane levels of retardation come out of it, and then they start convincing each other that their retardation is true, even though it's completely unhinged from reality, not supported by the evidence at all. They have no fucking idea what they're talking about, and we allow these people to speak in public? In case anyone is confused, this is not a free speech channel. I am not a free speech absolutist. I may have been at one point in my life, and then I woke the fuck up and I hinged into reality with what is actually going on in the world, and I realized free speech is not our friend. It's not. It's not. What we need to do is be the people in control of who gets to speak and who is silenced. This is really the war that we're fighting right now. This is the war that we are fighting on several different fronts. This is not a battle of left versus right, even though we spend a lot of time studying the far left on this channel. The real battle that we are fighting is who gets to control who gets to speak. Because I don't want the left speaking, but I also don't want huge swaths of the right speaking, because every time they do, they fuck shit up. Every time magatards and low IQ idiots speak on the right, things literally get worse for us. And the left just continues to win. So while it is true that we do need to silence the left, I personally would ban all queer Marxist publications. I would burn books in giant fires in library parking lots. I'm not actually joking about that. If I had my way, we would ban the publication of all queer Marxism material. We would take those books out of libraries, bring them into the parking lot, throw lighter fluid on them, start a massive fucking fire, and we would do that over and over and over and over and over again until they are gone. We would also ban the publication of any queer Marxist books for the foreseeable future, a moratorium, if you will, until kids stop believing that gender is not a real thing, because that's part of the problem. These people have been allowed to speak for decades and decades and decades, and the end result is kids in elementary school think that gender is not fucking real. So we need to get rid of that shit. And if anyone is caught writing queer Marxist material, or even worse, teaching it in schools to children, they will be put in jail. And they will be forced to go through a re-education curriculum in jail until they are no longer fucking stupid. That's just one of the many policy proposals that I have for when I never take office, because God knows I should not be put in any decision-making capacity. I'm not going to run for office. I did that once by accident, and I will never do it again because it really fucked up my life. So I'm not in any decision. I'm not running for president. I'm not running for fucking Congress. I'm not running for any sort of political position ever. But if I were to be in that sort of position, that is a policy that I would advocate for. So I am fully in favor of taking free speech rights away from the far left. I mean, you guys know my concentrated camp-like area proposal. I would literally round up every far left communist and socialist in America and concentrate them in a camp-like area, build an entire fucking wall around them, and not allow them to leave. I am deadly serious about that. I actually think that that is what is going to be required to stop this destructive ideology from winning in America. Do you know what prevents us from doing those things? Do you know what prevents us from silencing people on the left that are literally destroying our world right in front of us right now? The fucking right. The magatard right. The classical liberals who honestly think they're conservatives, but they're not conservatives. They're classical fucking liberals. The ones who whine about, we have to protect free speech for everyone. No, we fucking don't, actually. No, we actually fucking don't. When I say I am a fucking fascist, the fascist that the left is afraid Trump is, I actually do fucking mean that. I would put these people in jail and take away their right to publish forever. It is the right that is preventing us from doing that. It is the fucking low IQ magatards. It is the conservatives who aren't actually conservatives, but that are actually classical liberals. They are the ones that are preventing us from putting policies in place that would actually be like even have a hope of stopping the far left in America. So we need to silence them too. We need to silence people on the left that are teaching kids all sorts of crazy ideas and advocating for the overthrow of the government. We also need to silence retards on the right who have no idea what's going on, who are too stupid to understand what's going on, and yet they talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and they just spread falsehoods all over the place so that it is impossible to actually stop the problem. Shikalago, thank you. What do you think about the transphobic historian? I have no idea who that is. No idea. Never heard of they, them. So maybe I'll look them up. Should I look them up? What do you guys think? I don't know. I appreciate the super chat though, my friend. Thank you. Now I did see Trendlin say something earlier in the chat. What did Trendlin say? I'm almost afraid to look honestly at what Trendlin said in the chat, but I will look. I will. Tomorrow, my mom's yearly distribution hits my bank account. Okay. I have new videos for us to watch. How many gifted 50, Trendlin. The cost is 50. Until further notice, if you want me to watch anything, the cost is 50 channel memberships. 250 smackers. And if you abuse this privilege, Trendlin, and you really try to torture me, I will raise the cost. So that is the cost for right now. But I will raise it if you push me, Trendlin. I will raise it. Okay? And that's actually really important because, guys, did you know I need a fucking security detail when I go to Madison? W Ninja Artist, I really appreciate that. W, thank you for the gifted channel membership. So, as you guys know, I am headed to Madison, Wisconsin on Thursday. And I have just gotten off the phone with a company that kindly suggested, Karlyn, do you want a security person, perhaps, I don't know, helping you? And I said, that would be a good idea, but how much is that shit gonna cost? And they quoted me, and you know what? God bless this guy. Because they are not charging me Fox News rates or anything like that. They're not charging me big corporate conglomerate rates or anything like that. They are being very nice about the rate that they're charging me. It's still fucking expensive. So if you guys want to donate to the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail Fund, because I am going into what could be a volatile situation, please feel free to send in some super chats. Please feel free to donate some channel memberships. Well, I have to, it's like by the hour. So basically how much security I get depends entirely on how much money we raise. Oh yeah, it's over at that. Oh yeah, way over that. Yeah, way over that. Way over. We are into the four figures. If I have the type of security that I probably actually need. Like, listen, but it really depends. So listen, here's the deal. I will get the security based on the amount of money that I can raise over the next couple days. And so if I can't get enough people to donate to get me a security detail, and then I end up getting my ass kicked, what I'm going to do, just so you guys know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that over your head for like all time. I will hold it over your head for all time. I'm going to be like, remember when I asked you guys to crowdfund me a security detail and you didn't do it and you let me get my ass kicked? I'm never going to forget about this again. I am an Aries woman. I will keep that shit in my back pocket and I will bring it up anytime it is convenient. So if you guys love me and you want me to be happy, and you've been waiting to make a big donation of some sort, please feel free to throw in some super chats or some channel memberships. I would appreciate it. Thank you, Derpy Dan. I appreciate it. Yeah, no offense to people in the chat. If you are a random person that is not a security professional, I am not going to go with you. Okay. I'm talking about an actual professional security person. I'm not talking about some guy. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm like, no offense, but if I don't know you, then I'm going to assume you're a crazy person on the internet just because most people tend to be crazy on the internet. Yep. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is not going to be acceptable. Okay. No, thank you. No, thank you. Reagan's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Well, you do that, Reagan. You do. Reagan does so much, and I so appreciate it, Reagan. You are the fucking best. You are the fucking best. Shigalago, W's to you, sir. W's to you. Reagan's like, you're not guilt tripping me out of more money. Reagan's like, if you get your ass kicked, it's your own fucking fault. Thank you, Shikalago. You are the best. I appreciate your constant and ongoing support. Your constant and ongoing support, my friend. So if you guys want to donate to the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail Fund, please feel free to do that. And if you want me to give, you know what? Listen, if we're being honest about it, some of you might actually want me to get my ass kicked. You know, maybe I could even stand to do with a good ass kicking if I'm being honest about it. I tend to get away with a lot. Maybe some of you do want me to get my ass kicked. That's entirely possible. Put it towards the best protection you can. We need Karlyn with us for decades to come. Thank you, Printa, for that. I do appreciate it. Well, I mean, of course it counts. But we can also raise more. That counts for yesterday. Yesterday was pay for Karlyn's hotel fund. Now we're doing pay for Karlyn's security fund. It all counts, man. Listen, at the end of the day, everything I do comes out of my bank account. So I can only do the things that you guys allow me to do. I don't have anyone funding my work except for you guys. So I do appreciate, I'm making light of this a little bit because we have to, but I do appreciate everything that everyone does. It means the world to me that I have the ability to pick up and go to places like this. And this is what I've always wanted, to be honest. This is what I've always wanted. I always wanted support in the community to reach the level where if something happened, I had the ability to throw out several $1,000s, because this trip is going to cost me several $1,000s. I mean, it just will. I mean, that it seems like a trip shouldn't cost that much, but we're talking plane tickets, we're talking a hotel, we're talking food, we're talking car rental, we're talking security. If I have to pay for like things on the ground, all that counts as well. We're talking equipment that I bought. We're talking like other things too. And so it's like this stuff, it's expensive. And I'm not unaware that the very generous support that you guys have been giving me basically for, I mean, over a year now, like the support in the community has been really high for over a year. And I so appreciate it. And it is because of the support in the community that I'm able to just throw out several $1,000s to go and do something like this. It's because of the support in the community that I'm able to fund going to Chicago like I did a couple weeks ago, taking other trips as well. And I can't do it without you guys. I will say the security expenditure was something I didn't budget for because I didn't expect that to be an eventuality. But I like whatever you guys want to do is awesome. And I so appreciate the support that you guys give me, because I wouldn't be able to do this stuff without you guys. And I'm not, even though I'm making fun a little bit and saying I'll hold it over your heads forever if I get the shit kicked out of me, like, I hope people know that I'm being sarcastic and hyperbolic. I really, really do. Old sub, how about you symbolically burn one of your collected books or zines on the podcast? No, I'm not burning that shit. That's an archive. I'm making a museum, bro. I'm making a museum. I'm not doing stunts like that, like Lucas Gage. I'm not doing stunts like that. I do appreciate the 10, though, old sub. You rock. Thank you so much. Mountain Goddess. And with 20 gifted channel memberships, big support. Thank you so much, Mountain Goddess. Really, really, really appreciate it. Congrats to everyone who just got a membership for the Karlyn Trips Fund. Thank you so much, Jan. You rock. Yo, we got 5 more from Red Menace Guru. W's, good sir. Our latest mod in the chat, our latest mod. See, now I have to do math to figure out how many we already have. Already at 32 gifted channel memberships. That's pretty rad, guys. That is pretty rad. Guys, just so you know, another way that you can donate to the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail Fund. I just want to remind everyone that we have a sale going on in the Red Menace Supply Company, which is my merchandise store. If people don't know, redmenacesupply.com. This is my merchandise store where you can get cool merch that I have designed that I think looks awesome. And there are two new designs in the store, and the rule is when we have a new design in the store, it is 25% off for the first week. So this deal is only live for like through Friday, basically. So you have to get like anything with these two designs on it before Friday. They will automatically be 25% off. You don't need a coupon code. The discount is just automatically applied at checkout. I'll put the link in the chat so that you guys can see that. And I will show you the t-shirt versions of each of the designs. They come on tank tops, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, and t-shirts in a couple different colors. We have the I Love Whiteness design, where whiteness means capitalism. So make sure you pick that up. We also have the put on the sunglasses with the Red Menace, the They Live homage. So that is our other design. And of course, there is other merch in the store as well, including the McCarthy Was Right series, including this shirt, the Are You an Anti-Communist shirt that I actually wore on Fox News one time. And Jack Posobiec said he wanted one, and then he never ordered it. Never ordered it. That's all right. We have the Make Water Cannons Great Again design, where you get Antifa being sprayed by a water cannon. We've got we got bonfires are needed for the queer book burning that we want to do. We have a t-shirt for that. We have a t-shirt for everything. We have plague doctors. We have cool propaganda merch. We got the Center for Left Wing Studies. But these are the two that are on sale right now. The I Heart Whiteness shirt and the Put on the Sunglasses shirt. And so if you guys want to pick up some stuff, you guys can help fund my security detail by buying cool merch. And I really do appreciate it. Yep, we made a penguin shirt literally just because Trendlin was haranguing me. Literally just because Trendlin wanted a penguin shirt. So I made her a fucking penguin shirt. Anyway, hey guys, guess what? Did you know, some of you know this, some of you don't. Last night, Zero Hedge, who has 3 million followers, shared my map of the modern activist left. And this is actually, bro, I feel like you've asked this question like 4 or 5 times. No, we don't. It's too fucking big. No. Stop asking the same question and expecting a different answer. I've answered that question from you before. Guys, did you know that Zero Hedge shared my Mapping the Modern Left framework last night? Not only shared it, but wrote an entire article about it inside America's Left, mapping the 5 factions battling for power. Let me put the link in the chat so you guys can check this out. This is so cool. We're going to skip all this stuff because it has Canary Mission. Understanding the left. Hang on. Let me make this big so we can all see it. Let me make this big. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Understanding the left requires recognizing that it is not a monolith. To help map its many layers, Karlyn Borysenko, who describes herself as an anti-communist analyst, well, yeah, I guess that's true, published an easy-to-understand infographic on X titled Mapping the Modern Left, noting not all leftists are created equal. The graphic is a 5-tiered rainbow cake. I would not have called it a rainbow cake, but like whatever. View of the American left, ranging from establishment Democrats who favor incremental reform within capitalism to revolutionary socialists seeking to abolish and destroy the nation from within. And then it has the Mapping the Modern Left framework. We'll talk more about that in a second. They have a tweet from me posting the framework. And that goes on to say, her infographic divides the left into 2 main camps. The neoliberal left includes Democrats, liberals, and progressives, while the far left comprises reformists and revolutionary socialists. The graphic claims that progressives may favor policies associated with socialism, such as Medicare for All and Green New Deal, without seeking to eliminate capitalism. Reformist socialists, by contrast, pursue a post-capitalist system. And the difference between reformist socialists and revolutionary socialists is that reformist socialists want to work within elections, whereas revolutionary socialists do not believe in elections, but both reformists and revolutionary socialists want to overthrow capitalism. Yo! Thank you, Birch Alpha! What a fucking legend! Thank you for the $100, bro. I really, really, really appreciate that. You rock. Borysenko uses symbols to indicate which tiers she believes have adopted elements of queer ideology. Borysenko's infographic provides an easy-to-view understanding of the intensifying power struggle within the Democratic Party. Not really, but okay. As the party establishment attempts to fend off a takeover by far-left socialists, blah, 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 election stuff, election stuff. Hey, how cool is that? How cool is that? Massive, massive W's to me first for creating the framework in the first place, but massive W's to everyone who's been sharing the framework, especially ever since I updated it. I still have to update it one more time because I made a typo in this one. That's okay. That's okay. Typos can be overlooked. Typos can be updated. The framework itself is solid, and I so appreciate everyone sharing it. And the reason that they even found out about it is because so many people shared it. Now, if you want more information about my mapping the modern left framework and you want to go more in depth on it, you can find it at decodetheleft.com/map. This is all completely free, and it walks you through all of the different tiers of the left, and you can go in greater depth about what each of the groups look like. They all have their own identity profile. You can go into greater depth on all the queer stuff and what all that means. And that is available at decodetheleft.com/map. And this is the type of intelligence that I want to create for people to help them understand the monster that we are dealing with. Okay? Because the problem is the right believes, we're working on the wiki in a different way. The right believes they understand the left, but they don't. The wiki turned into the Mapping the Modern Left project, so it's just a different thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. It evolved, Trendlin, it evolved, okay? It evolved. It evolved into something better, as my ideas tend to do. The right is never going to be able to defeat the left if they do not understand it. Currently, W. Shika Lago coming in with 5 more gifted channel memberships. Thank you, good sir. You rock. You rock. Hang on. Gotta add that to the tally. When the right truly believes that the Democratic Party are communists, we have a problem. Because the fact of the matter is, the Democratic Party are not communists, and communists hate the Democratic Party. And just so people are clear, when I'm using the term communist and socialist in this context, they mean the same thing. The reason they mean the same thing is the left uses them in that way. We adopt the definitions that the left is using because our goal is to understand and describe the modern left. All right? That is what we are doing. And we cannot understand and describe the modern left if we are making up our own definitions for things that are completely unhinged from what the left is saying and what the left is doing. You use the definitions that the people driving the culture have created because they are the ones dictating the culture. And you can say, excuse me, that is not the dictionary definition of X, Y, B, and Z. They say that socialism is the transitionatory mechanism to communism. Well, the left doesn't give a fuck about that. They use those two terms interchangeably, okay? So when I'm saying socialist, I mean communist. When I'm saying communist, I mean socialist. They mean the same fucking thing so far as we are concerned, all right? The fact of the matter is socialists and communists, whether they are reformists or whether they are revolutionaries, they hate the Democratic Party. They hate liberals. The only reason they even tolerate progressives is because progressives are the easiest to recruit and radicalize to the far left. There is a very specific reason I use the term neoliberal left and far left. The reason I use the term neoliberal left is that is literally what the far left calls the Democrats and the liberals and the progressives. That is their term. That's not my term. That is what they say all the time. The neoliberal establishment, the neoliberal bourgeois establishment, they believe that Democrats and liberals and progressives are fascist just as much as Republicans and magatards and all of that stuff. So that is their language. What I mean when I say neoliberal left, these are leftists who may want, they do want lefty ideas, but they do not want to overthrow capitalism. The Democratic Party does not want to overthrow capitalism. The Democratic Party is completely run by corporate interests. It is absurd to think that the Democratic Party are communists and socialists. They do not want to overthrow capitalism. They benefit from capitalism. So they are the neoliberal left. Liberals just want everything to be nice, and they want everyone to feel good, and they want everyone to feel included and all of that stuff. This is more about identity politics. Identity politics comes from the neoliberal left. If you have studied the far left with me, this might be counterintuitive for people who are new. The far left does not engage in identity politics. The far left doesn't like identity politics. The far left wants to get rid of all identity. They want to abolish all identity groups. So the idea of identity politics comes from the neoliberal left, the Democrats, the liberals, and the progressives. Let's see, we got a, did that change re-progressives? No! Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Bernie Sanders has always been a socialist. I grew up in Vermont, the land of Bernie Sanders. Everyone in Vermont knew Bernie Sanders was a socialist going back to the time when he was the mayor of Burlington, Vermont. He has never been a progressive. He is a socialist. He has always been a socialist. And this is another thing that conservatives are saying to me. They're like, oh, progressives used to be the far left. No, they didn't. It has not changed, guys. Progressives go right up to the line of socialism, but at the end of the day, they do not want to overthrow capitalism. And that is the differentiator between the neoliberal left and the far left. The neoliberal left wants to uphold capitalism. The far left wants to overthrow capitalism. Let's see, we got another super chat. Security Detail Fund. Thank you so much, John, for your generous support. I really appreciate that, bro. Just because he says the word progressive does not mean he is a progressive. He is a socialist. You have to, guys, listen. Right-wingers do this all the time where they latch on to something that doesn't fucking matter and they make that be the core of their argument. Just because someone uses the term progressive does not mean they are a progressive. They may just be speaking colloquially. They are not. Bernie Sanders has never been a progressive in his entire career. He has always been a socialist. So perhaps you didn't understand what he was saying. Perhaps he was just speaking off the cuff colloquially. But just because someone says the term progressive does not mean they are a progressive. And most importantly here, the far left is extremely clear that Democrats, liberals, and progressives are not on the same team. Okay? Now, so we know that Democrats, liberals, and progressives are not on the far left. The far left that we are dealing with, the people doing the anti-ICE organizing, the people doing the encampment in downtown Madison, the people who cause all the problems in the world. Hey, thank you so much, T. Natch. I really do appreciate the super chat. That is the far left. When it comes to the far left, we have two different groups. We have reformist socialists and revolutionary socialists. Now, the thing that reformist socialists and revolutionary socialists have in common is that they both want to overthrow capitalism. However, they have completely different ideas about how to do it. And these nuances matter, because if we want to be able to predict their behavior in the real world, and we want to know who's actually driving what things are going on the far left, you have to understand these nuances, guys. I get comments every day of my life from conservative retards who say, the differences between the groups don't matter. They're all communists and they are stupid and we have all the guns and blah, 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 blah. Well, the differences do matter. In reality, when you are trying to analyze a social system, when you are trying to do predictive analysis about what is going to happen next, you have to ignore all of these retarded fools who think the nuances between these groups do not matter. Because the reality is, reformist socialists operate completely differently in the world than revolutionary socialists, okay? They both want a post-capitalist society. Reformist socialists want to achieve a post-capitalist society by running in elections, winning local or even larger office if they can, but mostly local office, and making reforms in the system over time. Okay? They want to work within the current system in order to overthrow capitalism. Revolutionary socialists do not want to work within the current system. They do not believe in elections. They do not participate in elections. They do not believe that the reformist socialists are going to achieve a post-capitalist society by working within what they call the capitalist system. In fact, we have reformist socialists, we have revolutionary socialists on video over and over and over and over and over again, flat out saying the DSA are our ideological enemy. I have so many clips of revolutionary socialists saying, reformist socialists, the DSA, they are our ideological enemy, because they believe that the DSA and people and organizations, it's not just the DSA, they also have the Working Families Party. There are a couple other organizations within the reformist socialist left that are not the DSA, but revolutionary socialists believe they are their political enemy because they believe reformist socialists are taking people away from the pure revolutionary cause, and they believe reformist socialists are actually their biggest barrier to getting their communist revolution. So, while it is true that both reformist socialists and revolutionary socialists want a post-capitalist society, their ideas about how to achieve a post-capitalist society are completely different. Let me give you an example, and I see those super chats, and I so appreciate them, and I will honor them in a moment. A current real-world example is this. Reformist socialists are not as likely to participate in violence, or engage violently, or engage destructively. In fact, they pretty much never do it unless they're in a situation where something is being provoked. When has the DSA ever engaged in violent, destructive, direct action? They haven't. The reason is they are running for office. They're running for office. You can't be engaging in violent, destructive action and have that be on video all over the place. The DSA is serious about running for office when they do it. They are actually trying to win. They're not doing like what the Party for Socialism and Liberation does. The PSL runs for office, but they don't really intend to win. They're using it as a platform for something else. When the DSA is running for office, they're actually trying to win. They are actually funding it. They're funding it via fundraising calls, via small donations, via membership dues, stuff like that. They take that seriously. They do not engage in violent confrontation and direct action. Revolutionary socialists believe that violence is the only way to win. Revolutionary socialists like Antifa, but Antifa are not the only revolutionary socialists. Antifa are just a subset within the revolutionary socialists. Antifa literally believes that nonviolence is not going to get us anywhere. So one of the main differences that you do see between reformist socialists and revolutionary socialists is even though they both want to overthrow capitalism, reformist socialists are almost never engaging in violence. They are almost never being destructive. They are not setting fires to things. They're not destroying things. And if you think you've seen a DSA member do that, you are almost certainly wrong. You are almost certainly making that up. And you are assuming a member of Antifa is in the DSA when they are probably not. Okay? Revolutionary socialists are more than willing to engage violently because they literally believe that violence is the only way that they are going to achieve their revolution. When we are talking about the encampment that is going on in Madison, Wisconsin right now, those are revolutionary socialists. Those are not the DSA. Karlyn, how do you know it's not the DSA? There's a DSA candidate running for office in Wisconsin. Don't you know that this is all being run by the DSA? No, it's not. Do you know how I know that? Because the DSA was on the live streams flat out saying, we are not leading this. We might show up and hold a sign and chant a chant and offer a word of support, but the DSA in Wisconsin is not leading the autonomous zone or the protests in Wisconsin because it is not in their best interest to do it. Is there a DSA candidate running for governor of Wisconsin? Yes. That is separate from who is leading the activist effort. So while the DSA is not necessarily opposed to what's going on in Madison, they're certainly not going to speak out against it. It aligns with all their beliefs. They are not the ones leading it. The revolutionary socialists are the ones leading it. Okay? And so what that means is if we know that that's being led by revolutionary socialists, and we do, we can start to make predictions about what they're going to do. This is why it is important to know the differences between the groups. If you are treating the Democratic Party as though they are Antifa, that is stupid. The Democratic Party is like Nancy fucking Pelosi. The Democratic Party is Hakeem Jeffries. The revolutionary socialists and Antifa fucking hate those people. So every single time that conservatives say, all Democrats are communists and we're defeating communism when we defeat the Democratic Party. No, retards. No. Real communists never join the Democratic Party, and they probably hate the Democratic Party more than you do. I promise you. So I originally made this framework last year to literally try to get conservatives to understand that Democrats, liberals, and progressives are different than socialists. This is the bar that we are at right now, guys. It's so fucking low. I literally just need people on the right to understand these are different things. Because as long as people on the right are running around calling all Democrats communists, the real communists, the real socialists, real Antifa, they are operating completely unopposed. There is no one on the right who is fighting the left right now. There's literally no one on the right that is fighting the left. There are people on the right that are fighting the Democrats. The Democrats are not the far left. There are people on the right who are running in elections against Democrats. And by the way, just so you guys know, Republicans are way more obsessed with elections than the far left is. The far left doesn't give a flying fuck about elections. The DSA does because they're running in them. But when it comes to like Antifa, you fucking think that Antifa set up an autonomous zone in Madison, Wisconsin for the election? I've been hearing this from conservatives all over the internet. Oh, look, they set up the autonomous zone in time for the election. They don't give a fuck about elections. There are entire presentations from far-left activists saying, don't vote in elections. We do not, gain anything by voting in fucking elections. Fuck elections. Fuck the Democrats. They don't vote. So until the right understands who they are actually fighting, the left is going to continue to run the table because they are operating completely unopposed, and that is why I made this graphic in the first place. One additional update that I'm going to be doing to the graphic at some point is I'm going to be doing an expanded version of this graphic where we give examples of the groups based on tier. So, for example, indivisible the No Kings protests are in tier 3. They are not on the far left. Indivisible and No Kings are in tier 3. They are progressives. The DSA, the Working Families Party, are in tier 4 because they want to work within the electoral system. Antifa is in tier 5 because they do not believe in elections. And there are a ton of other groups as well, but that's where we're going to start just for today. Off the top of my head, I'm going to do an expanded version of this chart that shows people like, here are some examples of groups by tier, specifically because like conservatives seem to think that the DSA is the most far left organization. The DSA is not remotely the most far left, or people like so many conservatives have commented on this and they're like, oh, the DSA is in tier 5, right? No, the DSA is in tier 4. There are many, many, many organizations on the revolutionary socialist left that are way scarier and way more violent than the DSA, like to a significant degree. So that is an update that will be coming at some point when I figure out exactly how I want to do it. But I did just want to let people know that this was available. If this is new to you, this is decodetheleft.com/map. I will put the link in the chat again, and you guys can feel free to share this. You guys can feel free to pass this around. There is a high-res version of this that you can download. You can download this, print it off. Like someone asked me if they can make a poster of it. Yes, you can. You can do whatever you want with it. Just leave my credit on it and you can literally do whatever you want with it. And the more people that understand this stuff, the better. Weren't the DSA the closest to progressives? No, there is no such thing as closest to progressives. Either you want to overthrow capitalism or you don't. Progressives do not want to overthrow capitalism. The DSA does. There's no ranking within the tiers. It's just either you fit this definition or you do not fit this definition. Let me grab those super chats that came in. I so appreciate it. Shikalago, Americans need to unite and embrace the blessings of economic freedom. I totally agree with that. Thank you so much, Shikalago. You rock. Lisa Old Granny in with the $50. I really, really appreciate that, Lisa Old Granny. Thank you so much for the support to the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail Fund. Anthony, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate the $10. Awesome. You guys are the best. I have the best community on the internet, bar none. It's not even close. It's not even close. Well, no, Milo, it is black and white. No, it is black and white. You want to know why? Because these beliefs are black and white. These beliefs are black and white. Just because a revolutionary communist joins the DSA does not make them less of a revolutionary communist. If their only goal is to infiltrate the DSA, then they are still a fucking revolutionary communist. They don't become a reformist communist just because of the organization they happen to be a member of. This is about belief. This is about tactics. If the tactics, and this does exist within the DSA, there is a caucus of revolutionary communists within the DSA that is trying to pull the DSA farther left. That is true. But if they are joining the DSA to participate in elections and support electoral efforts, then they are tier 4. If they are only joining the DSA to get them to give up electoral efforts, they are still a revolutionary fucking communist, and it does not matter that they are a member of the DSA. This is about tactic and belief. This is not about the dictionary definition as this. We are looking at real world analysis here. We are not looking at conservative and right-wing definitions of things. I hope that makes sense, but no, it is black and white. I wrote the chart for it to be black and white, and anyone saying, excuse me, Karlyn, you missed X, Y, B, and Z group, those people are fucking wrong. And every example I've ever seen of someone saying, you don't have this, I do actually have it. I do. Actually. I do. Well, yeah, and then you left the channel for a long ass time and you missed a lot of stuff while you were gone. And that's why you think this is not black and white when it is in fact black and white. It is in fact black and white. Well into the 4 figures, my friend. Well into the 4 figures. Well into the 4 figures. Wait, hang on. Retards in BG's chat were saying Mercado is a lefty fascist. Mercado is not a fucking left. There is no such thing as a fucking lefty fascist. That's retarded. Anyway, more to come on this soon. I'm happy to answer any questions about it. But, yo, really? Really? Harrison, can someone give me a timestamp? Harrison talked about me. Harrison Smith is a gentleman and a scholar, and I just hope he pronounced my name correctly. I just want him to pronounce my name correctly. I don't think my standards are too high. Can someone find me a timestamp and send that to me? We'll watch it real quick. That's awesome. Harrison Smith is the best. Hey, so until we get that. So today, we are going to be going back and reading something we've already read before. But we haven't read it in a long-ass time. And some of you are new. And this is highly, 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 highly relevant to what is going on in Madison, Wisconsin. Do you know why I know this is highly relevant to what's going on in Madison, Wisconsin? The document that we are reading today was literally handed out to someone who I know that is undercover in Madison, Wisconsin. Because I know multiple people that are there that are not exactly who they say they are. And so I know for absolute certainty this document is being handed out on the ground in Madison because the person undercover there sent me a picture of it and I said, hey, you should read that. It's very descriptive of what Antifa actually believes. In fact, it's so descriptive of what Antifa actually believes. This is Antifa's publishing arm website, CrimeThink. CrimeThink is the publishing arm of Antifa. If you go into the tools section of this website, there it is right there. To change everything. It is at, the very top of the tools section on the website. Scroll down a little bit, and it is the very first zine on their website. You can also obtain PDF copies of To Change Everything, blah, blah, blah. This is like the number one thing that they want distributed. This is like their big vision for the world. Let me put the link in the chat. You guys can see this directly. Now, the reason I bring this up is, hang on, let me find it. Where is it? Libby Emmons. Libby Emmons. Good gravy. Libby Emmons, who alleges to be an expert on things that she knows nothing about, what is her official title now? Is she like the editor of the Post Millennial? Hang on, I gotta make the screen smaller so I can actually see what she is. What is her title? Post Millennial and Human Events. She's basically the editor. She's a writer for the New York Post. She claims to understand the left. This woman has no fucking clue what she's talking about. And this is part of the problem. You'll notice the DSA has lots of plans to destroy everything, but no plans on what to replace it with. Are you fucking serious? Your New York Post journalist, Saya, your conservative, classical, liberal, Timcast host, influencer, Saya, they have no idea what they want to replace it with? Yes, they do. They write about this shit explicitly all the time. How is it possible? How is it actually possible that dumb bitches like this get a platform and get influence on the conservative right when this person is a classical liberal? This person is not even a fucking conservative. She's a classical fucking liberal. How is it possible that people like this get put in charge of informing people what's going on when it kind of seems to me like Libby Emmons doesn't have the basic capability to do entry-level fucking research into what she's talking about? Karlyn, you just start fights with everyone. When dumb cunts like this are lying and misinforming millions of people are less intelligent because of Libby Emmons. Millions of people are less informed about what the left is doing because of Libby Emmons. Millions of people are actually stupider and more retarded because for some reason, conservative organizations lift up retards like this and publish their ill-informed fucking opinions. And every single time this dumb cunt opens her fucking mouth, my job gets harder. Every single time this dumb cunt opens her mouth and lies to the public for clout and relevance, our job gets harder. Because this is a community of people that actually cares about what's going on and actually wants to solve problems. And every time people like this misinform their audience and sometimes just blatantly lie to them, but most of the time just tell them shit that they literally made up. They have no plans about what they want to replace it with. Oh yeah, Libby? Oh yeah? Oh yeah? They don't? Oh my God, except they've written entire fucking pamphlets about this that are easy to find for anyone who does like a basic level of research. In order to defeat the left, we need people to understand what is going on. We need people to understand the enemy that they are fighting. When people like this lie to millions of people for money and clout, they make our job harder. So I will not sit back and keep my mouth shut because I actually care about defeating this problem. Well, then no, of course Libby's not going undercover. She would never do the shit I do. She wouldn't be able to pull it off. Conservatives try to go undercover like me all the time, and they fail almost every single time because they don't know how to speak the language of the left. They have no fucking idea what they're doing. They out themselves almost immediately. But because she doesn't do basic fucking, she doesn't have the intellectual integrity to do basic due diligence, millions more people are misinformed because of her. So she can go fuck herself. She is not my friend. She is not my ally. We are not on the same team. I will only work with people who actually take this problem seriously, and everyone else, and I don't give a fuck if they're on the left or the right, every other person can go fuck themselves. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about that. So just to prove this dumb bitch wrong, we are going to read this document, and we are going to learn exactly what they want to do. And unlike Libby Emmons and all of her classical liberal friends, I'm never going to say, pinky swear, trust me, bro, take my word for it. I'm going to show you the evidence. I'm going to give you direct access to it. If you don't want to sit here with me and read it because you're like, oh, you're a big meanie and a bitch, then you can take the link and leave. You can literally take the link, go read it for yourself. You do not need me to read it for you. There you go. There you go. Unlike conservative media, I will always show you where these things are coming from, so you never have to take my word for it, and you can always investigate it for yourself. Before we get into that, a couple other things I wanted to make sure you guys knew. Couple other things. Hey, look at this event that took place in Madison, Wisconsin yesterday. That was an event hosted by the Party for Socialism and Liberation to plan the next steps of their protest. This was not the only room of people that was at this event. I know someone who was there, and what they said was they arrived early, and there was already a ton of people there. There was actually an overflow room for this event. So many people in Madison showed up to be part of planning the next part of the little downtown takeover that they actually had to put people in an overflow room for this event. So for everyone who thinks this is just gonna blow over and they're gonna get sick of it when they're not paid protesters anymore. They're not paid protesters, by the way. That's all bullshit. This is what is... Conservatives cannot get this many people in a room, guys. I've been to conservative events. They cannot get this many people in a room unless Trump is there, of course. But if this is just like an average, like, Republican meeting, there are no Republican meetings that are that large. And by the way, they planned this with like 2 days notice. This wasn't even something they marketed and people just showed up anyway. So I don't think that's blowing over anytime soon. Also, additionally, I posted a video about this earlier today, but this is actually funny as shit, okay? Just as I predicted, they have set up an autonomous zone in downtown Madison, Wisconsin, exactly like I said was going to happen 3 days ago. We have the next iteration of the CHOP or the Chaz, except this time, the name of it is even better. This time, we have the Corey Ruiz Autonomous Zone, otherwise known as the Craze. They literally named it the Craze. The jokes write themselves. They just do. The Craze. You can't make this shit up. So I thought that was actually pretty great. Yeah, I wish I had thought of that. I mean, it's like, did they even think about what the acronym of this thing was going to be? Obviously not. Now, this lady seems to be a journalist that is on the ground in Madison, and she is posting all sorts of stuff. Here are some more pictures from the autonomous zone today. You can see they've got their little vigil. People are setting up tents and stuff. Here are the barricades. The city of Madison has set up these helpful barricades to allow the far left to barricade off the street. The city of Madison is working with them. And I didn't know this when I posted this video earlier today. I was talking about the Craze. And basically one of the things I showed in the video is, hang on. Is so you can see back here in the video, I know it might look small, there's a row of porta potties. There's a row of porta potties. There are so many people wandering around this autonomous zone that they literally set up porta potties so people could have a place to go to the bathroom. And I know exactly what the conservative question is going to be. Oh yeah, Karlyn, who's funding that? Leftists can't afford porta potties. Who's funding that? The city is providing salt trucks as barricades and porta potties for the protester encampment. Now homeless are beginning to move into the area. Who's funding that? The city of Madison, Wisconsin is funding it. The city of Madison, Wisconsin. The city of Madison, Wisconsin are the ones that gave them the porta potties. The city of Madison, Wisconsin are the ones bringing in the trucks. The city of Madison, Wisconsin are the ones bringing in the fucking barricades. They are completely cooperating with the left at every single level. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? So this is not a George Soros, Neville Roy Singham of the CCP, NGO, USAID conspiracy theory. This is literally being funded and supported by the city. Even my dog's upset about it. Can you hear him? He's like, even my dog is downstairs going, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. How did they get the police to back down? The police are cooperating with them. I've talked to multiple people on the ground that have gone to this autonomous zone. I've been getting messages from a whole bunch of people. The police are nowhere to be found. Dog's upset again. The police are nowhere to be found because the police are cooperating with them. The city is cooperating with them. That is explicitly how they are doing all of this, okay? So, I don't know, maybe someone should do something about that instead of just making shit up like, this is obviously funded by Soros and the CCP and Iran and Cuba. I swear to God, if I fucking see Marco Rubio come out and say that this is funded by fucking Cuba, I am going to lose my shit like you guys have never heard me lose my shit before. When literally we can look at what's going on and know that it is funded by the fucking city, and the cops in the city are going along with all of it, and there are people who are actually organizing the autonomous zone who are in communication with city government officials on logistics and all that. If Marco Rubio dares come out and says, this is funded by Cuba and Iran and the CCP, I am going to lose my shit in a way that you guys think you've seen me mad? No, my head will fucking explode. It's funded by the city. It's also funded by mutual aid. They have a mutual aid list. They are asking for mutual aid. I showed the list the other day. Hang on, I'll find the list again. I showed it the other day. There it is. There is the mutual aid list. Any size mattresses, candles, lighters, boards, dog supplies, firewood. Thank you so much, Bob, for being a member of the channel for 23 months. Karlyn, can you make Kobe an autonomous zone in your house? Basically, the downstairs of my house is Kobe's autonomous zone. The Kobe autonomous zone, the Kaz, and he needs a sign that says Kaz. Okay, Bob, I'll work very hard on that over the next couple days, all right? Black power flags, tool belt with tools. I don't know what that said. What is that? I can't read what. Oh, pallets. That's what that says. Tar and plastic, rain gear, battery packs, pop-up tents, heavy-duty power banks, XL storage totes, flatbeds, flatbed truck, forklift. They're asking for a forklift as part of mutual aid. Okay? This is how the left is funded, guys. Voluntary donations of things that people need. And by the way, I'm going to say this too. It is supposed to rain in Madison on Friday. So I don't know if there's going to be much going, if the weather forecast holds, and it very well may not, but it is supposed to currently rain in Madison on Friday night. They are already having conversations within the autonomous zone of how to protect all their shit when it rains so that the city can't come in and tear it down. I know that, again, from people who are on the ground, who are undercover, who I am talking to, who are passing the information to me, okay? So I think the left is going to hold this autonomous zone for the foreseeable future. The city is helping them. They have no opposition. Everyone has bent the knee to them. And so now we have the craze of Madison, Wisconsin. And per usual, no one else is talking about it but me. And this other reporter that's actually in Wisconsin. So shout out to Laura. I don't know if Laura's any good at her job. I haven't followed her for more than like 2 hours. But shout out to her for actually covering it. I really wish conservative media would cover it. Well, I will be in Madison this weekend, so you'll get what you get from me, but I don't know who else is going to be there or if anyone else is going to be there. We'll see. We will see. But this person is probably the best place for footage. This is stuff coming out today. So, W Laura for that. I don't know if you're a leftist or what, but thank you for providing us with video. That's pretty rad. Okay. With that out of the way, we are going to listen to a video where they are going to read that Antifa document. So we don't have to use my AI reader. There's actually just a video of it. So we are now going to move into the Antifa propaganda section. And also, just so you guys know, I will bring this up. Are they even live? Status Quo News is supposed to be going live with whatever protest is happening in Washington, D.C., so I will probably put that above my head so we can monitor the protest situation in Washington, D.C. But really, our primary goal right now is going to be to read this Antifa document. So again, I will put the link in the chat one more time if you want to follow along directly with the document. Please make sure you have mounted the like button if you would be so kind. If you can afford to support the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail Fund, please send in some channel memberships, super chats. I really appreciate you guys funding my ability to do this. Let's go back to this document right here and let's get this party started. This is what Antifa wants.
This audio production was made in collaboration with Audible Anarchist.
To change everything, an anarchist appeal. If you could change anything, what would you change? Would you go on vacation for the rest of your life? Make fossil fuels stop causing climate change? Ask for ethical banks and politicians? Surely nothing could be more unrealistic than to keep everything the way it is and expect different results. Our private financial and emotional struggles mirror global upheaval and disaster. We could spend the rest of our days trying to douse these fires one by one, but they stem from the same source. No piecemeal solution will serve. We need to rethink everything according to a different logic. To change anything, start everywhere. Start with self-determination. The phantom of liberty still haunts a world cast in its image. We've been promised complete self-determination. All the institutions of our society are supposed to deliver it. If you had complete self-determination, what would you be doing right now? Think of the vast potential of your life, the relationships you could have, the things you could experience, all the ways you could give meaning to your existence. When you were born, it seemed there was no limit to what you could become. You represented pure possibility. Usually, we don't stop to imagine any of this. Only in the most beautiful moments, when we fall in love or achieve a breakthrough or visit a faraway land, do we catch a dizzying glimpse of all our lives could be. What limits how you can fulfill your potential? How much leverage do you have over the environment around you or how you spend your time? The bureaucracies that appraise you according to how you follow instructions, the economy that empowers you according to how much profit you generate, the military recruiters who insist that the best way to be all that you can be is to submit to their authority. Do these enable you to make the most of your life on your own terms? The open secret is that we do all have complete self-determination, not because it's given to us, but because not even the most totalitarian dictatorship could take it away. Yet as soon as we begin to
hang on. Of course you can share this. Of course you can share this. You can share whatever I talk about. It's fine.
For ourselves, we come into conflict with the very institutions that are supposed to secure our freedom. Start by answering to ourselves. Managers and tax collectors love to talk about personal responsibility, but if we took complete responsibility for all our actions, would we be following their instructions in the first place? More harm has been done throughout history by obedience than by malice. The arsenals of all the world's militaries are the physical manifestation of our willingness to defer to others. If you want to be sure that you never contribute to war, genocide, or oppression, the first step is to stop following orders. That goes for your values, too. Countless rulers and rule books demand your unquestioning submission. But even if you want to cede responsibility for your decisions to some god or dogma, how do you decide which one it will be? Like it or not, you are the one who has to choose between them. Usually, people simply make this choice according to what is most familiar or convenient. We are inescapably responsible for our beliefs and decisions. Answering to ourselves rather than to commanders or commandments, we might still come into conflict with each other, but at least we would do so on our own terms, not needlessly heaping up tragedy in service of others' agendas. Start by seeking power, not authority. The workers who perform the labor have power. The bosses who tell them what to do have authority. The tenants who maintain the...
Okay, so what are they talking about? Pop quiz for the chat. What are they talking about? They haven't used the word yet, but people who watch my content should know the answer to this. What are they talking about? This system where some people have power and some people don't. What are they talking about? I know there's a delay between when I say something and when you guys hear it. I'm waiting. Capitalism. Yeah, they're talking about capitalism. They're talking about capitalism. What Antifa wants, and this is true of the whole far left, including the DSA. They want to overthrow capitalism. They define capitalism as private property ownership. That is their only definition, and it is explicit. Nope. No. We are precise in our language. We do not make up flowery definitions for things. They're talking about capitalism, okay? It is true that whiteness means capitalism, but that's not what we're talking about right now, okay? When they say private property ownership, they mean bourgeois property, property that you can use to create personal privatized wealth, things that put you as having more resources, more money, more power than other people. So things like home ownership, land ownership, apartment rental ownership that you rent out as a landlord, intellectual property ownership, private business ownership, whether or not it's big or small, it doesn't matter, and parental rights over your kids. Cars are not bourgeois property, not cars. Again, guys, we are precise in our language here. Home ownership, land ownership, apartment ownership, like you're renting it out as a landlord or an Airbnb, intellectual property, small business, well, a business, whether it's big or small or not, it doesn't matter, and parental rights over your kids. If we're talking about things like cars or pets or computers or toothbrushes or iPhones, that is personal property. That is a different thing. We are only talking about bourgeois property, property that you can use to create a significant amount of personal wealth, all right? The other thing that you would need to understand is that the left considers capitalism to be both an economic model and a cultural model. So it is not true that they are just talking about economics when they say capitalism. When they say capitalism, they are talking about both the economic part of it and the cultural part of it. So cultural norms, normativity, they want to get rid of those too because cultural norms that uphold capitalism still reinforce the system. So that's going to be things like gender, the gender binary. That's going to be things like the nuclear family. The reason the left wants to abolish the nuclear family is the nuclear family is literally the means of reproduction of capitalist values when parents have kids and raise them with capitalist values to feed them into the capitalist system. That is why they want to abolish the nuclear family. It is called social reproduction theory, okay? So they are always talking about both. You always have to make the assumption. There are rare exceptions to this, but just start with the baseline assumption. No. If you're going to be in my fucking classroom, you're going to take this seriously, and you're not going to say, excuse me, what you really mean is Western values. No, I don't. And they don't either. And so if you're not going to take this seriously and you're not going to fucking listen, get the fuck out and let people learn. But do not come into my chat, and this goes for fucking everyone, and say, Karlyn, what you really mean is this. No, I don't. I am extremely precise in my language, and I have spent years trying to figure out ways to explain this concisely and precisely so that people like you stop being fucking retarded. Every single time. Excuse me, I haven't studied this at all, but what you really mean is this. No, I don't. What would happen to something like my ranch? No, you're not going to own it anymore. No one will own land. No one will own houses. Everything belongs to everyone. Everyone has access to all the resources. They may be very nice to you and let you stay in the house on your ranch, but you do not own the land, and you would not own the house. They would just be letting you stay there. Do they see home ownership where the owner owns a mortgage as they want to get rid of all money in banks. So they don't care about mortgages. They don't care about banks. They don't care about the Fed. They want to get rid of all money, and they want to get rid of all banks. So if you have some question, how do they do this with money? They don't. They don't. They literally don't do that with money. They don't want money to exist. When I say something, I mean precisely what I say. I do not mean some other secret fucking code. Anyway, that is what they are talking about. They are introducing capitalism. Which one was that? Spare me your... This is the same person who was trolling here and was booted? Is that a person that was over... I don't understand what you're saying, spare me your eggs. I don't understand what you're saying. Please be more precise. Okay. Now that you know what they're talking about, let's listen.
We might still come into conflict with each other, but at least we would do so on our own terms, not needlessly...
Yeah, I mean, they do want to get rid of private kitchens, but that has to do with the dissolution of the nuclear family. So, basically, okay, the premise behind getting rid of private kitchens is everyone... They want to... the left wants to control all food distribution so that everyone has access to food. So what they envision is a world in which there is a community canteen that you go to get your food. Where, okay, so you know, okay, hang on. One of the things that they are doing in the new autonomous zone in Madison, Wisconsin, maybe we can find a picture of it. So one of the things that they're doing in these tents is they're making food. You can go and get free food in the autonomous zone in Madison, Wisconsin. They make free food. They give it out to everyone who wants it. This is very, very common in mutual aid stations at leftist protests where you can go and get free food. When you see the reason that it is important to study things like this is that they are showing you what they want their communist utopia to look like. One of the things they want to have in the communist utopia is a community canteen area where people go to eat and they can get whatever food is being prepared that day, like a public soup kitchen. Exactly. The premise on getting rid of the private family kitchen is you won't even want your private kitchen because there will be no need for you to cook in your house because we are all congregating together in the commune and you're going to want to come eat in the community area with the other comrades. That's basically the premise. I've never heard them talk about firefighters, Robert, so I'm really not sure. But probably they would be protecting the community, not just private individuals. All right, back to this.
Keeping up tragedy in service of others' agendas. Start by seeking power, not authority. The workers who perform the labor have power. The bosses who tell them what to do have authority.
Hang on. No, teen takeovers have nothing to do with this. Completely unrelated. I understand why you think that, Dark One, and I do appreciate you asking the question, but completely unrelated. Oh, the guy we just banned on YouTube was being a dick on Rumble. Okay, I see. Well, we banned him now, so he can go away.
Authority. The tenants who maintain the building have power. The landlord whose name is on the deed has authority. A river has power. A permit to build a dam grants authority.
Hang on. China is not communist. China's capitalist. So we are not using China as an example. It doesn't apply here.
There's nothing oppressive about power per se. Many kinds of power can be liberating. The power to care for those you love, to defend yourself and resolve disputes, to perform acupuncture and steer a sailboat and swing on a trapeze. There are ways to develop your capabilities that increase others' freedom.
No, it wouldn't work like this. So if someone had a beef with you, they could just let you not eat that. No, everyone gets access to all the resources. The left has a very different way of dealing with conflict than the right does. It's actually much healthier than what the right does.
As well.
I need you to pay attention to this.
Every person who acts to achieve her full potential offers a gift to all. Authority over others, on the other hand, usurps their power. And what you take from them, others will take from you. Authority is always derived from above. The soldier obeys the general, who answers to the president, who derives his authority from the Constitution. The priest answers to the bishop to the pope to scripture.
Hey guys, listen to me. I need everyone to listen now. When you are pontificating in the chat like this, I don't even care what this has to say. I don't even care what this person has to say. This person is pontificating in the chat. What I think, based on my in-depth study of communism from the 50s, is X, Y, B, and Z. No offense. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what you think. Right now, what I am doing is I am trying to teach a class about a document. If you do not have a question related to what is in this document, shut the fuck up. If you do not have something to say that is directly related to what you are hearing in this document, shut the fuck up and pay attention to the document. It is incredibly rude to come into someone's classroom and go, I think I know more than you because I once watched a documentary about the Weather Underground. First of all, you don't fucking know more than me. I promise you. You do not. There is no universe in which you fucking know more than me. There is no universe in which you have things to teach me that I already do not know based on direct experience and over 5,000 hours of doing this shit over the past 5 years. So if you do not have something to say directly related to this, zip it and listen. And I need people to be paying attention and asking questions related to this. If you just want to hear yourself talk, go back to Twitter or Facebook or wherever you came from and post on your fucking wall because you're not doing it in my classroom. No. You're new here. You do not tell me how to handle my chat. I know you're new, but no. I've been doing this for a long time. I know exactly how to handle this situation. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your permission. I'm not timing you out for the rest of the stream because if you think that I'm listening to you, you think you're giving me permission to do something? Hey, guess what? You just got timed out for 24 hours. Now you have to shut the fuck up and listen. The reason we do not allow pontificating or topics that are unrelated to the class is it means you are not listening. You are also distracting other people from listening. This is about understanding the document. Should I play the video? I should play the video. Let me get this super chat from I Am. Thank you. I am here for class. I do appreciate that. All right, let's keep going.
Over others, on the other hand, usurps their power, and what you take from them, others will take from you. Authority is always derived from above. The soldier obeys the general.
I will interrupt any fucking time I feel like interrupting. Do you want to know why? This is my fucking stream and my fucking class. I am not asking you, person who just showed up like last fucking week, and I appreciate you buying a membership, but your $5 membership does not entitle you to tell me how to teach my fucking class. So one more word from you about this, and I will be timing you out for the rest of the stream. I need everyone to pay attention to this short instructional video because obviously we need this today.
You take your top lip and connect it to your bottom lip, you will shut the fuck up. Sometimes shutting the fuck up is the best thing you can do.
You do not tell me how to teach my class. I have been doing this longer than you have even known this shit existed.
Achieve her full potential offers a gift to all. Authority over others, on the other hand, usurps their power. And what you take from them, others will take from you. Authority is always derived from above. The soldier obeys the general, who answers to the president, who derives his authority from the Constitution. The priest answers to the bishop to the pope to scripture, which derives its authority from God. The employee answers to the owner, who serves the customer, whose authority is derived from the dollar. The police officer executes the warrant signed by the magistrate, who derives authority from the law. Manhood, whiteness, property. At the tops of
Oh, hang on. We got to time out Mocha Pot for the rest of the stream. We got to time out Mocha Pot because Mocha Pot is just going to piss me off for the rest of the stream. And Mocha Pot, just so you know, the only reason you're not being permanently banned right now is because you became a channel member last week, which means I'm literally giving you one more chance. No, I can't. It's that very top volume. No, can't do it. Nope. Crime Think wrote this. This was written by Antifa. Well, he's going to pay attention now because he can't speak anymore. You keep fucking interrupting me and I will just silence you. And that's the way it goes.
We don't even find despots.
Okay, hang on. We got to talk about what this says. We got to listen to it again. Listen.
Who answers to the president, who derives his authority from the Constitution. The priest answers to the bishop to the pope to scripture, which derives its authority from God. The employee answers to the owner, who serves the customer,
Thank you.
whose authority
Appreciate
is
it.
derived from the dollar. The police officer executes the warrant signed by the magistrate, who derives authority from the law. Manhood, whiteness, property.
Manhood, whiteness, property. When they use the term whiteness, they are not saying skin color. They are saying capitalism. They are literally saying manhood, whiteness, property. Individualism, which means capitalism. Whiteness, the system that upholds racism, capitalism. Property, capitalism is defined as private property ownership. All three of those words are references to the capitalist system. Does everyone understand this? 1 in the chat if you understand what I just said, 2 in the chat if you're confused. Yeah, replace the spaces with equal signs. They all mean the same thing. Shikalago W's, good sir. Thank you so much for the gifted channel membership. Appreciate that. Guys, if you don't understand, you are allowed to ask questions about this, okay? You're not going to get yelled at for asking a question. Manhood is not new. It's a reference to individualism. So it's not new. Just because you haven't heard something before does not mean it's new. It is a reference to individualism. Whiteness means the system that upholds racism. The system is capitalism. It is a reference to systemic racism. Systemic racism means the system that upholds racism. Slavery was about property ownership. It was not to the left about skin color. So it is both economic and cultural. And again, I explained this earlier. You should always make the assumption that they are talking about the economic and the cultural model. Very, 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 very few times is it just about the economic model. Racism, systemic racism, is also a cultural model, and it cannot be overthrown until capitalism is abolished. And whiteness, guys, in this context, it 100% of the time means capitalism. There is not a single reference to whiteness that you are going to hear in this document that is a reference to skin color. So please do not torture me by stopping every single time we hear the term whiteness and say, Karlyn, is it about skin color this time? No. No, it's not. Manhood is a reference to individualism. Individualism upholds capitalism. Whiteness is a reference to systemic racism, the system that upholds racism, capitalism. Property is a reference to capitalism, private property ownership.
God. The employee answers to the owner, who serves the customer,
Status
whose
Canoes
authority
just
is
went live.
derived from the dollar. The police officer executes the warrant signed by the magistrate.
Yes, it applies to the patriarchy is the disparity created based on capitalism. So yes, patriarchy is also about capitalism.
Who derives authority from the law. Manhood, whiteness, property. At the tops of all these pyramids, we don't even find despots, just social constructs, ghosts hypnotizing humanity.
Capitalism creates social constructs. Let me give you an example of a social construct that capitalism has created. The idea that men and women are a thing. This goes back to patriarchy, what I think Dark One was just saying. The patriarchy is a reference to capitalism creating the capitalism creating the social constructs of men and women, which are not biological. They believe they are social constructs, made up categories. It put men on top and women at the bottom. That hierarchy is called the patriarchy. The patriarchy is literally a reference to hierarchy. Bro, the nuclear family still exists. It's nothing to bring back. It still exists. Now pay attention. Yes, Whiteness and white supremacy are the same. It is all about capitalism. It is not about skin color at all.
In this society, power and authority are so interlinked that we can barely distinguish them. We can only obtain power in return for obedience, and yet without freedom, power is worthless. Start with relationships built on trust.
Focus.
In
Thank you,
contrast to
W's, my
authority,
dear.
Trust centers
Appreciate it.
power in the hands of those who confer it, not those who receive it. A person who has earned trust doesn't need authority. If someone doesn't deserve trust, he certainly shouldn't be invested with authority. And yet, whom do we trust less than politicians and CEOs? Without imposed power imbalances, people have an incentive to work out conflicts to their mutual satisfaction, to earn each other's trust. Hierarchy removes this incentive, enabling those who hold authority to suppress conflicts. At its best, friendship is a bond between equals who support and challenge each other while respecting each other's
Thanks,
autonomy.
Regan.
That's a pretty good standard by which to evaluate all our relationships. Without the constraints that are imposed on us today, citizenship and illegality, property and debt, corporate and military chains of command, we could reconstruct our relations on the basis of free association and mutual aid. Start by reconciling the individual and the whole. Your rights end where
the individual and the whole. They're saying individualism upholds capitalism. The whole is the comrades. Reagan, where are they? Where are they in the Discord? I don't see that. Wait, hang on. Okay, I see them. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. We're booting that person from the Discord. Hang on. That person doesn't even have privilege. What the fuck? Kick. Hang on. We're kicking that person. Guys, if you whine in my Discord or cause problems in my Discord, you will be banned from my Discord. And I, quite frankly, don't give a flying fuck whether you are a paying supporter or not. I want to be very clear about this because we've had a couple of instances in the supporter Discord lately where people think that they can do whatever the fuck they want because they're paying me $5 a month. You can cancel your $5 a month membership. You will not disrupt my fucking supporter Discord by whining and complaining.
Corporate and military chains of command, we could reconstruct our relations on the basis of free association and mutual aid. Start by reconciling the individual and the whole. Your rights end where another's rights begin. According to that logic, the more people there are, the less freedom. But freedom is not a tiny bubble of personal rights. We cannot be distinguished from each other so easily. Yawning and laughter are contagious. So are enthusiasm and despair. I am composed of the cliches that roll off my tongue, the songs that catch in my head, the moods I contract from my companions. When I drive a car, it releases pollution into the atmosphere you breathe. When you use pharmaceuticals, they filter.
So they're basically saying we can't adopt individualism because individualism ignores the impact that your actions have on everyone else. If you're driving a car, you're polluting the environment. If you are engaging in these types of behaviors, you're hurting everyone else. They are making the argument that people need to reject individualism because it upholds capitalist society and instead embrace a collectivist mindset.
Into the water everyone drinks. The system everyone else accepts is the one you have to live under, but when other people challenge it, you get a chance to renegotiate your reality as well. Your freedom begins where mine begins and ends where mine ends.
Thank you, old sub W's. Thank you.
We are
Appreciate
not
it.
discrete individuals. Our bodies are comprised of thousands of different species living in symbiosis. Rather than closed fortresses, they are ongoing processes through which nutrients and microbes ceaselessly pass. We live in symbiosis with thousands more species, cornfields inhaling what...
Yes, hence the Green New Deal, but the Green New Deal doesn't go far enough for the far left. The Green New Deal is like a transitionatory mechanism, but yes, the Green New Deal is like a manifestation of this type of idea that like we have to put the needs of the collective over the wants of the individual.
We exhale. A swarming pack of wolves or an evening murmuring with frogs is an individual as unitary as any one of our bodies. We do not act in a vacuum, self-propelled by reason. The tides of the cosmos surge through us. Language serves to communicate only because we hold it in common. The same goes for ideas and desires. We can communicate them because they are greater than us. Each of us is composed of a chaos of contrary forces, all of which extend beyond us through time and space. In choosing which of these to cultivate, we determine what we will foster in everyone we encounter. Freedom is not a possession or a property, it is a relation. It is not a matter of being protected from the outside world, but of intersecting in a way that maximizes the possibilities. That doesn't mean we have to seek consensus for its own sake. Both conflict and consensus can expand and ennoble us, so long as no centralized power is able to compel agreement or transform conflict into winner-takes-all competition. But rather than breaking the world into tiny fiefdoms, let's make the most of our interconnection. Start with the liberation of desire. Growing up in this society, not even our passions are our own. They are cultivated by advertising and other forms of propaganda to keep us running on the treadmills of the marketplace. Thanks to indoctrination, people can be quite pleased with themselves for doing things that are bound to make them miserable in the long run. We are locked into our suffering, and our pleasures are the seal. To be truly free, we need leverage over the processes that produce our desires. Liberation doesn't just mean fulfilling the desires we have today, but expanding our sense of what is possible so our desires can shift along with the realities they drive us to create. It means turning away from the pleasure we take in enforcing, dominating, and possessing to seek pleasures that wrench us free of the machinery of obedience and competition. If you've ever broken an addiction, you have a taste of what it means to transform your desires. Start with revolt. Bigots typically blame a specific group for a systemic problem: Jews for profit-driven capitalism, immigrants for economic recession. The same way people blame individual politicians for the corruption of politics. But the problem is in the systems themselves. No matter who holds the reins, they produce the same power imbalances and petty indignities. The problem is not that they are broken, but they are functioning in the first place. Our enemies are not human beings, but the institutions and routines that estrange us from each other and from ourselves.
Capitalism?
There are more conflicts within us than between us. The same fault lines that run through our civilization run through our friendships and our hearts. This is not a clash between people, but between different kinds of relations, different ways of living. When we refuse our roles in the prevailing order, we open up those fault lines, inviting others to take a stand as well. The best thing to do would be to do away with domination entirely, not to manage its details more fairly, not to shuffle the positions of who inflicts and who endures, not to stabilize the system by—
When they're talking about domination, they are talking about the oppressor-oppressed narrative, okay? The bourgeois versus the proletariat, the property owner versus the owned. They believe that capitalism dominates everyone, including people who want capitalism, and that everyone will be liberated as soon as we get rid of this dominating system. Are you here to listen or are you here to learn? Sean, are you here to listen and learn, or are you here to whine and complain? I want an answer. Sean, are you here to listen and learn, or are you here to whine and complain? Where did these freaks get this crap from? School. It's such trash thinking. I bet all the money in my pocket you don't even understand it, bro. So are you here to listen and learn or not? We're waiting, Sean. Entire stream stop just for you. No, you are. You are. And you're not answering my question. You got one more try. Are you here to listen and learn or not? There's a hierarchy on this channel. I am at the top. You are at the bottom. Are you here to listen and learn or no? I have to teach people how to be in fucking school again. I have to teach people things they never learned by sitting in a fucking classroom. Do you want to try answering more precisely? Of course, what? Of course, what? Are you here to listen and learn, or are you here to whine and complain? No. Apparently, we're still not fucking listening, Sean. You're telling me you're here to listen, but you're not listening. You're not listening. No one told you not to ask questions. Guess what, Sean? You never asked a fucking question. You said, this is stupid. If you're telling me you're here to listen, then perhaps you should start by actually fucking listening. It was a yes or no question.
Reinforcing it.
My God.
The point of protest is to not call for more legitimate rules or rulers, but to demonstrate that we can act on our own strength, encouraging others to do the same and discouraging the authorities from interfering. This is not a question of war, a binary conflict between militarized enemies, but rather of contagious disobedience. It is not enough only to educate and discuss, waiting for others' hearts and minds to change. Until ideas are expressed in action, confronting people with concrete choices, the conversation remains abstract. Most people tend to remain aloof from theoretical discussions, but when something is happening, when the stakes are high and they can see meaningful differences between opposing sides, they will take a stand. We don't need unanimity, nor a comprehensive understanding of the whole world, nor a roadmap to a precise destination, just the courage to set out on a different path. The problem is control. What are the signs that you are in an abusive relationship?
What do you see on the screen? The problem is control. What do you see on the screen? The imagery that they're using is intentional. The police. The police are about control. The police are the managers of capitalism. The police are the protectors of property. The police do not protect the people, they protect the capitalist system. You cannot overthrow the capitalist system without abolishing the police. That is what's going on in Madison, Wisconsin. That is what the BLM riots were about in 2020. That is what Ferguson was about in 2016. That is what they are always about. It has never been about black skin color. They are riots against the police. They want to overthrow and abolish the police because the police are the protectors, they believe, of the capitalist order.
Relationship. The abuser may try to control your behavior or dictate your thoughts, block or regulate your access.
Hang on, I've got a Rumble rant. Kimmy over on Rumble. Karlyn Harrison Smith played your ex post on the War Room today and about them moving the statue to Madison. What? That's what he played? Yo! Shout out Harrison Smith. Yes. Yes. My evil plan of DMing that to Harrison Smith worked beautifully. Thank you, Harrison. We appreciate you. Thank you, Harrison Smith. We love you. Gentleman and a scholar. Thank you, Kimmy, for the super chat.
The courage to set out on a different path. The problem is control. What are the signs that you are in an abusive relationship? The abuser may try to control your behavior or dictate your thoughts, block or regulate your access to resources, use threats or violence against you, or keep you in a position of dependence under constant surveillance. This describes the behavior of individual abusers, but it also goes for the IRS, the NSA, and most of the other institutions governing our society. Practically all of them are based on the idea that human
Hang on. No, Madison is not restraining the police. People have got to listen. I don't know why you guys are doing this. I have seen so many people making excuses for the police in Madison. I have seen people say the police have mixed feelings about this. No, they don't. No, they don't. The city is not restraining the police. The police are completely capitulating. The police chief is completely fucking capitulating. So please, no one is restraining the police in Madison except literally the fucking police. Stop making excuses for them, guys.
Under constant surveillance. This describes the behavior of individual abusers, but it also goes for the IRS, the NSA, and most of the other institutions governing our society.
Okay. Apparently no one actually wants to learn today because you guys just want to argue with me as though you think you know fucking more than me. Excuse me, the police are controlled and managed by the town. Did you watch the same press conference I did? In which the left totally took over the fucking press conference and the police chief sat there like a fucking cuck and let them do it and then apologized to them? Go fuck yourself. Literally go fuck yourself right off. The police are capitulating on every level and allowing it to happen. And if I see any other person making excuses for the fucking police, you're gonna get banned. I'm not fucking around. You shouldn't even be talking about it. You should be paying attention.
Or violence against you, or keep you in a position of dependence under constant surveillance. This describes the behavior of individual abusers, but it also goes for the IRS, the NSA, and most of the other institutions governing our society. Practically all of them are based on the idea that human beings need to be policed, to be managed, to be administered. The greater the imbalances that are imposed on us, the more control it takes to preserve them. At one end of the power continuum, control is exercised brutally on an individual basis. Drone strikes, SWAT teams, solitary confinement, racial profiling. At the other end, it is omnipresent and invisible, built into the infrastructure of society. The equations that determine credit ratings and insurance premiums, the way statistics are collected and turned into urban planning, the architecture of dating sites and social media platforms. The NSA monitors what we do online, but it doesn't wield as much control over our reality as the algorithms that determine what we see when we log in. When the infinite possibilities of life have been reduced to an array of options coded in ones and zeros, there will be no more friction between the system we inhabit and the lives we can imagine, not because we will have achieved total freedom, but because we will have perfected its opposite. Freedom doesn't mean choosing options, but formulating the questions. The problem is hierarchy. There are many different mechanisms.
All hierarchy is created by capitalism. That is what the left believes. When the left is talking about hierarchy, it is about people who have more money and resources than other people. People who have more power and resources than other people. The bourgeois, the proletariat, the oppressor versus oppressed, the haves versus the have-nots. That is what they're talking about. They believe capitalism creates all hierarchies. What they want is a world of equity. A world of equity is a world without hierarchy.
The problem is hierarchy. There are many different mechanisms for imposing inequality. Some depend on a centralized apparatus, like the court system. Others can function more informally, like good old boy networks and gender roles. Some of these mechanisms have been almost completely discredited. Few still believe in the divine right of kings, though for centuries no other basis for society was even thinkable. Others are so deeply ingrained that we cannot imagine life without them. Who can picture a world without property rights? Yet all of these are social constructs.
Who can picture a world without property rights? But that's just a social construct. That is what they're talking about, guys. They want a world without property rights. They literally just said it, okay? What does the Antifa want? What does the DSA want? What does the far left want? They want a world without property rights. Who can picture that world? Listen again. Hey, old sub, I really need you to start paying attention, okay? Please pay attention to this. Only talking about this. No more distractions.
These mechanisms have been almost completely discredited. Few still believe in the divine right of kings, though for centuries no other basis for society was even thinkable. Others are so deeply ingrained that we cannot imagine life without them. Who can picture a world without property rights? Yet all of these are social constructs. They are real, but not inevitable.
Elimination of private property means the elimination of capitalism. They believe capitalism creates all hierarchies. If you eliminate property rights, capitalism is defined as private property ownership. If you eliminate private property ownership, you eliminate capitalism. If you eliminate capitalism, you eliminate hierarchy, because hierarchies are always created by capitalism.
other basis for society was even thinkable. Others are so deeply ingrained that we cannot imagine life without them. Who can picture a world without property rights? Yet all of these are social constructs. They are real, but not inevitable. The existence of landlords and CEOs is no more natural, necessary, or beneficial than the existence of emperors. All of these mechanisms develop together, reinforcing each other. The history of racism, for example, is inextricable from the history of capitalism.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? You don't say. You don't say, Antifa pamphlet, about what you want in the world. The history of racism, for example, is inextricable from the history of capitalism. This is why whiteness means capitalism. Racism was created by capitalism. It was created by the ownership of people as private property. They are talking about something that is unique to America because of American slavery. No, they don't give a flying fuck about Africa. They're not talking about that. They are talking about the unique institution of American slavery creating racism in America through the property ownership of people. See? This is why we have to shut the fuck up and listen. Not that you were asking great questions, Lucy. I'm not telling you to shut the fuck up. But this is why we need the retards in the chat to shut the fuck up and pay attention to what's going on. Because as soon as you hear them say it, you're like, oh, no. Steven is obviously a retard that is not listening. Steven, no one gives a flying fuck what you think, and this is not mental gymnastics. They see the world in a different way than you. Shut the fuck up and listen. Connor, you don't even know what the fuck is going on. So perhaps, again, do I have to play the fucking video again?
If you take your top lip and connect it to your bottom lip, you will shut the fuck up. Sometimes shutting the fuck up is the best thing you can do.
The reason we need people to shut the fuck up and listen is that most of the people who keep saying retarded shit in the chat don't actually understand what they believe. The reason people saying retarded shit in the chat don't understand what they believe is because they don't shut the fuck up and listen to them. They are telling you explicitly the way they see the world, and it does not matter if you agree with them. They are telling you explicitly in the way they see the world, these issues are linked. You come in and saying, excuse me, I think that is stupid. They don't give a fuck. And they are not going to factor your opinion into their analysis. And old sub, in like the fucking king, throwing down 50 fucking channel memberships. Old sub, seriously, your constant ongoing support is overwhelming. You're so generous. We really appreciate it, bro. You have single-handedly, I think, funded like half the memberships in the fucking community. Thank you so much for everything you do. I want to see everyone give W's in the chat to old sub. I want to see everyone doing plague doctors in the chat for old sub. Really, really, really appreciate it. We got Malcolm throwing down $10. Yeah, old sub knows how to get himself out of trouble. Ain't that the truth? Old sub got a talking to, and he's like, I know what's gonna solve this. Ain't it the truth? Even though he didn't have to. Malcolm, thank you so much for the super chat. I was new here once, and I found that typing less and listening more was the best approach. You are a wise man, Malcolm, and a generous man, but a very wise man. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you, Malcolm. In with the 5. Thank you, Malcolm. I very much appreciate it, good sir. Okay, let's listen again.
Is no more natural, necessary, or beneficial than the existence of emperors. All of these mechanisms develop together, reinforcing each other. The history of racism, for example, is inextricable from the history of capitalism.
The history of racism is inextricable from the history of capitalism because they believe capitalism, private property ownership, created racism. Without getting rid, if you cannot abolish racism without abolishing property ownership or capitalism. 1 in the chat if you understand why whiteness means capitalism. 2 in the chat if you're still confused. And please be honest. I'm not going to yell at you if you're confused about this. It's a confusing thing for new people. I understand that. But I want to gauge the chat. 1 in the chat if you understand why whiteness means capitalism. 2 in the chat if you're still confused. It's okay to be confused. Asking questions helps. So they're basically saying racism would exist. Yes. Yes. It's a reference specifically to the institution of property ownership as slavery. Slavery is property ownership. It's a specific reference to that. If people had not been owned as property, the systemic institution of racism would not exist. So they believe property ownership was the initial problem that created racism in the first place, and you cannot get rid of racism without getting rid of property ownership. John, please ask a question about how you're confused. It would really help me out. I want to help you learn if you're confused, but you got to ask a question, okay? Because I don't know how you're confused if you don't say it. No, you weren't. Old sub, you weren't being a retard. I didn't call you a retard. I just said focus, please, good sir. Focus. You didn't need to pay a 50 membership penalty, but I'm going to keep them anyway. But I appreciate it, old sub, but you weren't being a retard. I didn't think you were being a retard at all.
All of these mechanisms develop together, reinforcing each other. The history of racism, for example, is inextricable from the history of capitalism. Neither one is conceivable without colonization, slavery, or the color lines that divided workers and still determines who fills the world's prisons and shantytowns.
Colonization means the original theft of the land, okay? When they say colonization or colonialism, they mean basically stealing land from the indigenous people. They do not believe that the indigenous people ever owned the land. They believe that when it was just Native Americans, the land was under the collective caretakership of the Native American tribes, essentially. So what they believe is like no one owned the land. It was under the collective caretakership. And then people came in, the Europeans came in, and they stole the land from the indigenous, and they put borders around the land, and they said only some people are allowed to use our land. They made it private property, but it was not private property before the theft of the land. That is what they mean when they say colonization or colonialism. Whiteness doesn't encapsulate 3 factors. Whiteness means capitalism. That's it. Whiteness is a reference to property ownership. That is it. It's a reference to systemic racism. Systemic racism means the system that upholds racism. The system is capitalism.
Likewise, without the infrastructure of the state and other hierarchies of our society, individual bigotry could never enforce systemic white supremacy. That a black president...
Hang on. I know it's not a history lesson, then why are you making it one? But hasn't private property been a thing? It doesn't matter. So first off, there are groups on the left that believe that capitalism goes back to ancient Sumeria and that we literally need to undo all of civilization to undo capitalism. It's called anti-civilization, and that is actually a real thing. There are other groups that believe that capitalism was created by farmers. There are other groups that believe capitalism was created by, like, in any number of different ways. But for our purposes here, it doesn't actually matter, because what we're talking about is the specific leftist language and dialect that developed in America that is unique to America, with slavery as kind of one of the defining characteristics of leftist activism in America. Connor, you don't even fucking understand their language. You need to shut the fuck up and learn before we tell you how to do anything. You are in preschool, my friend. You are asking questions that make it seem like you think you're in college. You're in fucking preschool. Shut the fuck up and listen.
Can preside over these structures only stabilizes them. It is the exception that justifies the rule. To put it another way, as long as there are police, who do you think they will harass? As long as there are prisons, who do you think will fill them? As long as there is poverty, who do you think will be poor? It is naive to believe we could achieve equality in a society based on hierarchy.
Society based on hierarchy means a society based on capitalism. Again, capitalism is both an economic model and a cultural model. They believe every institution in society, including the government, including the Constitution, is grounded in capitalism. You asked it just fine. I just need to be clear that we're talking about specifically leftist thought in America, which slavery and this whole idea of whiteness being capitalism is just one of the central things to that whole evolution, essentially. So it doesn't matter where capitalism came from, guys. It doesn't matter how far capitalism goes back. What matters is how they're defining it today and what that means for how they're showing up in the world and what they're trying to do.
You can shuffle the cards, but it's still the same deck. The problem is borders.
Borders!
If a foreign army invaded this land,
borders create private property. You cannot have private property without having borders. When the left says private property, they're not just talking about your home and your land. They are talking about all borders. Borders around the country, borders around the state, borders around the city, borders around your town, borders around your house, okay? All borders. And so because borders are the enforcement mechanism of property, that is why they want to abolish ICE. ICE are the enforcers of the border. They are the protectors of capitalism.
cut down the problem. You can shuffle the cards, but it's still the same deck. The problem is borders. If a foreign army invaded this land, cut down the trees, poisoned the rivers, and forced children to grow up pledging allegiance to them, who wouldn't take up arms against them? But when the local government does the same, patriots readily render their obedience, tax dollars, and children. Borders don't protect us, they divide us, creating needless friction with the excluded while obscuring real differences among the included. Even the most democratic government is founded upon this division between participants and outsiders, legitimate and illegitimate. In ancient Athens, the famed birthplace of democracy.
Hang on. It's not a dumb question. You guys are allowed. Listen, don't let the yelling confuse you. People get yelled at when they're acting like retards. You will not get yelled at for asking a question, even if I think it's dumb, because everyone's new. Like, people are new. It's fine. How do they realize that? How do they rationalize that even the indigenous had territories? They don't agree with your interpretation. They believe, and again, I explained this, but I'm going to explain it again. They believe that no one owned land before the Europeans came to America and stole the land from the indigenous. They believe it was under the collective caretakership. That means no one owned the land. So they do not agree with your interpretation. And this is why it's important to understand what they believe, not what you believe. What you believe does not matter. What I personally believe does not matter. There is not a single, like, what Old Sub, even though Old Sub is super generous and awesome and we love him, it doesn't matter how many channel memberships Old Sub gives. What Old Sub personally believes doesn't matter. The only thing we care about on this channel is what they believe and how they interpret things. And I know that can be confusing to people, but like, that's what we have to focus on. So again, what they believe is that in indigenous cultures, no one owned the land, that everyone took care of the land. And they believe that changed when the Europeans came to America and stole the land from the indigenous. They believe Israel stole the land from the Palestinians, exactly the same thing. That's why they call the Israelis the settler colonists. And that's why land back is a thing. If you've heard the term land back, it's about giving the land back. If you've heard the term Turtle Island, that is a reference to North America before it was colonized, before the land was stolen. How will stuff get done? Essentially, there would be community councils that would manage the production of all of society. I don't want to get into a lot of that right now. We've talked about it before, but essentially you would have community councils that would oversee the production of whatever society needs. It's more complicated than that. We can talk about that another day.
Only a fraction of the men were included in the political process. The founding fathers of modern-day democracy owned slaves. Citizenship still imposes a barrier between included and excluded inside the US, stripping millions of undocumented residents of leverage over their lives. The liberal ideal is to expand the lines of inclusion until all the world is integrated into one vast democratic project, but inequality is coded into the structure itself. At every level of this society, 1,000 tiny borders divide us into powerful and powerless, security checkpoints, credit ratings, database passwords, price brackets. We need forms of belonging that are not predicated on exclusion, that do not centralize power and legitimacy, that do not quarantine empathy to gated communities. The problem is representation. You can only have power by wielding it. You can only learn what your interests are by acting on them. When every effort to exert leverage on the world must be channeled through the mediation of representatives or translated into the protocol of institutions, we become alienated from each other and our own potential. Every aspect of our agency that we yield reappears as something unrecognizable and hostile to us. The politicians who always disappoint us only show how much power we have given up over our own lives. The violence of the police is the dark consequence of our desire to avoid personal responsibility for what happens in our neighborhoods. In the digital age, when every person must continually serve as his own secretary to manage his public image, our very reputations have become external, like vampires feeding on us. If we weren't isolated from each other, competing to sell ourselves on so many professional and social markets, would we invest so much time and energy in these profiles, golden calves made in our own image? We are irreducible. Neither delegates nor abstractions can stand in for us. In reducing human beings to demographics and raw experience to data, we lose sight of everything that is precious and unique in this world. We need presence, immediacy, direct contact with each other, direct control over our lives, things no representative or representation can deliver. The problem is leaders. Leadership is a social disorder in which the majority of participants in a group.
Why are leaders a problem? What pop quiz for the chat? Why are leaders the problem? Let's make sure that's visible. The far left is non-hierarchical and decentralized. People on the right can't wrap their heads around this. They're like, how are they must have hierarchy. No. The left believes leaders are the problem because if someone is in a leadership position, that means there's hierarchy. The left puts into practice, and whether or not you think this is natural, I personally don't think this is natural, but like, it doesn't really matter what I think. The left has put into practice a political philosophy that says if there are leaders, there is hierarchy. If there is hierarchy, there is oppression. So therefore, we are going to create a non-hierarchical, completely decentralized form of organizing in which there is no one leader. Because leader means hierarchy. Hierarchy means capitalism. Capitalism means oppression. If there is someone in a leadership position like George Soros saying, you will do this and I'm going to give you funding for these signs, like that means that everyone else is oppressed. They have a horizontal organizing structure, not a vertical organizing structure. And this is part of why they are so effective. This is why Trump cannot cut off the head of the snake. And they have different ways. And you'll see this. We're going to be doing in about a month from now full coverage of the Socialism Conference. I can't believe the Socialism Conference is coming up. You guys are going to want to spend some time with us for the Socialism Conference. I'll do a couple of days of pre-gaming where we'll watch socialism presentations from like previous years. And then we will actually stream like 4 full days of the Socialism Conference when they do it live because they stream their presentations. We will just sit here and watch all of them. When you come and watch the Socialism Conference with us, you're going to see how leftist meetings are organized. Basically what happens is, and this is not just true of conference presentations, this is true of like how they structure all of their meetings, okay? Basically what happens is you have a panel of people who are into really specific topics, and they get up and they talk for like 20 minutes about their ideas about a topic. Then what happens is the room opens up the microphone and any person in the room can come up and say anything they want to the panelists. They can say, I agree with your ideas because of X, Y, B, and Z. I don't agree with your ideas because of X, Y, B, and Z. They can read poetry. They can do an interpretive dance. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And literally that does happen sometimes. But like the whole idea is the people on the panel are not leading. They are simply there. They are comrades that are offering their ideas. And then the community, the other comrades, get to respond with their ideas. And then the people on the panel get to respond to them and say, here is what I think about that. And here is how I would think about that within my ideas. So it's a more collectivist form of discussion and decision making. Think of it as like rule by committee. Okay. If you've ever been on a committee at like work or something, or a committee at your church, or a committee with your nonprofit group, like there are no real leaders on a committee. There's simply people with different roles, and everyone on the committee gets a vote. So you might have a chair of a committee, but that person's job is just to run the meetings. And that person's job is just to make sure the meetings go smoothly. You might have a secretary on the committee. That person is not less important than the chair of the committee. That person just has a different role. She takes the notes and she does the thing, she tallies the votes and like whatever. You might have an at-large member of the committee, or a person that's tasked with doing specific things. It's not that one is better or more authoritative than anyone else. It's that everyone has a role that they perform the role of, and then they come together to talk about what they're doing and to coordinate among each other. It's like Trump's cabinet a little bit, except without Trump being at the top. Think about all the cabinet officials, okay? They just all have different roles that they are engaging in. So I understand this might be difficult to wrap your head around how they operate without leaders, but you have to think of it as like Johnny has, like you see it in the protests. Johnny is in charge of security, and Susie is in charge of marshaling protesters by riding a bike beside them so that they can block traffic. And Janice is in charge of holding the sign. And Jimmy is in charge of following the protest at the rear to make sure they aren't attacked from behind, or like whatever. It's not that one is more important than anyone else. It's just that they all have different roles and they're all coordinating with each other. And this is what makes them so effective. Do people understand what I'm saying? 1 in the chat if you understand, 2 in the chat if you're confused. PNW with a membership on Rumble. Thank you, good sir. I appreciate that membership. W's to you. And when we do the socialism conference, you guys are going to be able to see this play out at the socialism conference. So you will actually see how this works in real life.
Leadership is each other, direct control over our lives, things no representative or representation can deliver. The problem is leaders. Leadership is a social disorder in which the majority of participants in a group fail to take initiative or to think critically about their actions.
Leadership is a social disorder in which the majority of participants in a group fail to take initiative or think critically about their actions. Think about that language for a second. Leadership is a social disorder. They have an absolute disdain for the idea that someone is leading and someone is saying, you will do X, Y, B, and Z, because they think if someone is leading, then other people in the group aren't actually thinking for themselves and they aren't taking initiative. It's okay to be confused. Just ask questions. It's okay to be confused, though.
The problem is leaders. Leadership is a social disorder in which the majority of participants in a group fail to take initiative or to think critically about their actions. As long as we understand agency as a property of specific individuals rather than a relationship between people, we will always be dependent on leaders and at their mercy. Truly exemplary leaders are as dangerous as the obviously corrupt, in that all their praiseworthy qualities only reinforce their status and others' deference, not to mention the legitimacy of leadership itself. When the police arrive at a protest, the first question is always, who's in charge, not because leadership is essential to collective action, but because it presents a vulnerability. The conquistadors asked the same question when they arrived in the so-called New World. Wherever there was an answer, it saved them centuries of trouble subduing the population themselves. So long as there is a leader, he can be deputized, replaced, or taken hostage. At best, depending on leaders is an Achilles heel. At worst, it reproduces the authorities' interests and power structure inside those who oppose them. It's better if everyone...
Okay. Dark One's asking a question. So if they want to organize an event, how do they coordinate who decides who brings food, for example? Okay, someone says, hey, I'll volunteer to bring the food. I'll bring a lasagna that my grandma bakes and it's really good and she'll make a really big one for everyone. And then some other guy says, hey, I'll bring some pizza. And then some other guy says, I'll bring the coffee. That's how they do it. It's by saying, hey guys, who wants to be on the food team? Hey, I'll do it. Guys, who wants to be on the security team? Guys, who wants to be on the technology team so that we can look at slides on it's sign up sheets. It's sign up sheets. Yeah. The chair of the committee says, we're doing this event and we need everyone involved and everyone can volunteer and you can all have a role and we're going to put out sign up sheets and you guys can sign up on the sheets of the things you want to do. That's it. It's just like, guys, it's like if a bunch of moms were getting together to do a school fundraiser with their kids. It's like a committee. It's like the fucking PTA committee at the school saying, hey, I volunteer to do this. I volunteer to do that. It's exactly the same thing. It's like you do at church. Yes, it's like you do at church.
Has her own agenda and a sense of her own agency. The problem is government. Governments promise rights, but they can only take...
When they say government, they mean the United States government, which is built on capitalism. They do not mean the form of government they would institute. They would institute a form of government, but it would be very different than what we would have now. When they are saying government or the state, they are referencing the United States government and the United States Constitution, which they believe are both built on capitalism.
Everyone has her own agenda and a sense of her own agency. The problem is government. Governments promise rights, but they can only take liberties. The idea of rights implies a central power to grant and guard them. Yet anything the state is powerful enough to guarantee, it is powerful enough to take away. Empowering government to solve one problem only opens the door for it to create more problems. And governments do not generate power out of thin air. That's our power that they wield, which we can employ far more effectively without the Rube Goldberg machine of representation. The most liberal democracy shares the same principle as the most despotic autocracy, the centralization of power and legitimacy in a structure intended to monopolize the use of force. Whether the bureaucrats who operate the structure answer to a king, a president, or an electorate is beside the point. Laws, bureaucracy, and police are older than democracy. They function the same way in a democracy as in a dictatorship. The only difference is that, because we can vote about who administers them, we are supposed to regard them as ours, even when they're used against us. Dictatorships are inherently unstable. You can slaughter, imprison, and brainwash entire generations, and their children will invent the struggle for freedom anew. But
what's going on with Status Quo News above my head? This is a protest in Washington, D.C. today, so we're just kind of monitoring the protest. It's because Benjamin Netanyahu is there, and so there's like a Free Palestine protest. So we're just keeping an eye on things. They're just doing speeches and stuff. I'm not really concerned about missing their speeches. We can go back and watch it later if we want to, but I'm just kind of keeping an eye on things in case things start getting like destructive or something like that. So that's what's above my head.
Every man a chance to impose the will of the majority upon his fellows, and you can get them all together behind a system that pits them against each other. The more influence people think they have over the coercive institutions of the state, the more popular these institutions can be. Perhaps this explains why the global expansion of democracy coincides with the incredible inequalities in the distribution of resources and power. No other system of government could stabilize such a precarious situation. When power is centralized, people have to attain dominion over others to gain any influence over their own destinies. Struggles for autonomy are channeled into contests for political power. Witness the civil wars in post-colonial nations between peoples who previously coexisted peacefully. Those who hold power can only retain it by waging perpetual war against their own populations, as well as foreign peoples. National Guard is brought back from Iraq to be deployed in Oakland. Wherever there are hierarchies, it favors the one on top to centralize power. Building more checks and balances into the system just means relying on the things we need to be protected from for protection. The only way to exert leverage on the authorities without being sucked into their game is to develop horizontal networks that can act autonomously.
The only way is to develop horizontal networks that can act autonomously. The only way to exert leverage on the authorities without being sucked into the capitalist system is to develop horizontal networks. When I tell you the left operates non-hierarchically and decentralized, what I'm telling you is they are making a very specific decision about how they're going to function to prevent themselves from being corrupted by the capitalist system. It is a specific decision. They're saying, we don't want to be this, so we are going to operate like this. It is not an accident. It is highly strategic. It is not something that just happens. It is a decision that they have made for how they are going to interact with each other. And this is why it is so dangerous when people on the right say they're mentally ill. This is just mental illness. They're all narcissists. They don't know what they're doing. Yes, they do. This is a specific strategy that they are enacting so that they can defeat the capitalist system by operating in completely the opposite way. Do they want to abolish prisons? Yes. How do they plan to deal with crime? They believe that almost all crime will be eliminated when capitalism is eliminated because they believe that capitalism creates the vast majority of crime. And we can go into that another day. I'm not going to do a big in-depth lecture. We've covered this before, but that is the long and the short of it. They believe that capitalism creates crime when they eliminate capitalism, which includes abolishing the police. It includes abolishing prisons. They believe that most crime will be like basically eliminated overnight. Like a hive mind with no queen. Connor catching a W. Connor catching a W. Yes. Like a hive mind, but there is no queen. It's the Borg. We're talking about the fucking Borg.
Checks and balances into the system just means relying on the things we need to be protected from for protection. The only way to exert leverage on the authorities without being sucked into their game is to develop horizontal networks that can act autonomously. Yet, when we're powerful enough to force the authorities to take us seriously, we'll be powerful enough to solve our problems without them. There's no way to freedom but through freedom. Rather than a single bottleneck for all agency, we need a wide range of venues in which to exercise power. Rather than a single currency of legitimacy, we need space for multiple narratives. In place of the coercion inherent in government, we need decision-making structures that promote autonomy and practices of self-defense that can hold would-be rulers at bay. The problem is profit.
Capitalism.
Money is the ideal mechanism for
here is where they talk about eliminating money. You guys are going to love this.
And practices of self-defense that can hold would-be rulers at bay. The problem is profit. Money is the ideal mechanism for implementing inequality. It is abstract. It seems to be able to represent everything. It is universal. People who have nothing else in common accept it as a fact of life. It is impersonal. Unlike
people just accept money as a fact of life, but that doesn't mean it is a fact of life. But for some reason, people just accept this crazy idea of money as a fact of life, and then the money controls their entire existence.
Hereditary privileges, it can be transferred instantly from one person to another. It is fluid. The easier it is to change position in a hierarchy, the more stable the hierarchy itself is. Many who would revolt against a dictator readily accept the authority of the market. When all value is concentrated into a single instrument, even the irrecoverable moments of our lives are drained of meaning, becoming tokens in an abstract calculus of power. Everything that cannot be financially quantified falls by the wayside. Life becomes a scramble for financial gain, each against all, sell or be sold. To make a profit, that means to gain more control over the resources of society relative to everyone else. We can't all profit at once. For one person to profit, others have to lose leverage.
Okay, well, I actually don't give a fuck. There is no king, there is no queen, and you just got a 5-minute timeout.
Investors profit on employees' labor. That means the more employees work, the wider the financial gap between them becomes. A system driven by profit produces poverty at the same pace as it concentrates wealth. The pressure to compete generates innovations faster than any previous system, but alongside them it produces ever-increasing disparities. Where equestrians once ruled over pedestrians, stealth bombers now sail over motorists and homeless people. And because everyone has to pursue profit rather than accomplishing things for their own sake, the results of all this labor can be disastrous. Climate change is just the latest in a series of catastrophes that even the most powerful capitalists have been powerless to halt. Indeed, capitalism doesn't
They believe that capitalism created climate change, and the only way to undo climate change is to abolish capitalism. And actually, this is a really important point, and I want to make sure new people understand this. The left literally believes that if we do not abolish capitalism, everyone on the planet will die. We have watched their documentaries about this. This is not an exaggeration, okay? They literally believe that if we do not abolish capitalism, everyone on the planet will die. They believe all of their friends will die, all of their loved ones will die, everyone they know will die. Now, again, whether or not this is true, it doesn't matter, because it is what they believe. I want everyone to just take a moment to just put yourself in this position. What if you believed that there was this oppressive system that caused a global catastrophe? And if you and your friends, your comrades, didn't overthrow this oppressive system, everyone that you have ever loved in your life will die. I know for people like the climate change, I understand the arguments, okay? But like, really just think about this for a moment. What if you believed if you didn't overthrow this idea and implement something different, everyone you've ever loved will die? That is what the left believes. It is not a game. It is not performative. People say to me all the time, Karlyn, you know the left is just being performative. They're not being fucking performative. They really believe it. They believe everyone they have ever loved in their life will die. And so they are acting in accordance with their belief. The reason they want to overthrow capitalism, overthrow the US government, abolish the police, abolish borders, abolish money, do all this crazy shit, is because they believe this is an existential crisis that will literally lead to the extinction of the planet. That is how seriously the left takes this problem. I hear conservatives say all the time, they better not try that in our town, and we're going to get them if they come into our town. Okay, well, that seems to be enough for conservatives to get off their lazy asses, maybe, and claim to do something. But it's like the left already believes that their entire family is in danger of dying, that all of their friends are in danger of dying, and they believe it's going to happen in the not too distant future. So the left already believes this is an existential crisis, and their actions and their behaviors are dictated by this belief. It is not dictated about whether or not climate change is actually real. It is not dictated about whether or not the earth is going to experience a massive environmental emergency at any moment. It is dictated by their belief that capitalism created climate change, and that climate change is going to kill everyone, and that the only way to undo that is by overthrowing capitalism. I don't fucking care if they're actually technically a cult. It doesn't matter. Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? That is how seriously the left takes the idea of abolishing capitalism. The reason I am harping on this is I have right-wingers in my replies literally all day long, basically saying, we don't take this seriously, this is stupid, and it's going to blow over, and we don't really care about this. And it's just like, do you want to know why the left is winning and the right is losing? Because the left takes this incredibly seriously as a literal life and death scenario, whereas the right thinks this is all a game for their fucking entertainment. Yo, Simona, I was wondering what happened to you. Welcome back.
Reward entrepreneurs for remedying crises, but for cashing in on them. The problem is property.
Property!
The foundation of capitalism is property rights, another social construct we inherited from kings and aristocrats.
I'm sorry, what was that? What was that? Can we get a round of Karlyn is right in the chats, ready to go? The foundation of capitalism is property rights, which is a social construct. Hello? Hello? Great notice! Thank you for the 5 channel memberships. W's, good sir. Getting us over 100 channel memberships. We really appreciate that. Thank you for your very generous support, especially after your 50 yesterday. You rock, good sir. So people might see me when I'm interacting with people who are new to this. You might like if someone comes into the chat and acts like they know everything, the very first thing we ask them is, how does the left define capitalism? The reason I always ask people, how does the left define capitalism, is because if you do not understand this, you do not understand the left. Do you guys see how central the definition is of capitalism to every single thing the left does? If you do not understand, the left defines capitalism as private property ownership explicitly, then you do not understand why they are doing all of this, okay? That is why we always ask people, what is the left's definition of capitalism? And most of the time, people have no idea. Or they say, it depends on things. It doesn't depend on things. It is an explicit definition. So if you remember nothing else from today, please remember the left's definition of capitalism is private property ownership. Everything they are doing, every single thing, from anti-ICE to anti-police to environmental justice, to all of the gender stuff, to drag queen story hour, to queering kids in school, to abortion, to disability studies, to to fat liberation. Literally every single thing the left does is related back to the definition of capitalism as private property ownership. And what we need to do is figure out, how is what they're doing related to their goal of overthrowing this thing?
The problem is property. The foundation of capitalism is property rights, another social construct we inherited from kings and aristocrats.
Oh, yeah?
Property shifts hands more rapidly today, but the concept is the same. The idea of ownership...
Hang on. So, no. You're not listening. There is no nest. There is no nest. Capitalism is defined as private property ownership. Whiteness is a reference to the specific aspect of capitalism related to systemic racism. The systemic racism means the system that upholds racism. The system that upholds racism is capitalism. What they are talking about with the whiteness, it is one aspect of capitalism. The patriarchy, the gender hierarchy, is another aspect of capitalism. All the environmental justice is another aspect of capitalism. Drag queen story hour is another aspect of capitalism. Abortion is another aspect of capitalism. Borders are another aspect of capitalism. The police are another aspect of capitalism. What they're talking about are all the different ways in which capitalism oppresses society. There is no nest. Don't think about it like that. It's just, here are different aspects, Jewish. Here are different aspects of the capitalist system. And the reason that there are so many terms that all reference capitalism is they are fighting capitalism from every single aspect, because capitalism is not just about economics, it is also a cultural model. So it means all of these different aspects that uphold our society. I hope that helps. Yeah, go look at this. Go look at this post from Mizakan because it's really good. I know exactly what he just posted.
For remedying crises, but for cashing in on them. The problem is property. The foundation of capitalism is property rights, another social construct we inherited from kings and aristocrats. Property shifts hands more rapidly
capitalism
today,
is the umbrella
but
term.
the concept is the same. The idea of ownership legitimizes the use of violence to enforce artificial imbalances in access to land and resources. Some people imagine that property could exist without the
property ownership is a social construct that enforce artificial imbalances in property and resources. What they're saying is some people own more stuff than others. Some people own more land than others. Some people, bro, no. Okay, if you don't cut the pontificating, I'm going to permanently ban you. Right now, I'm giving you a 5-minute timeout. We do not have anything to learn from you. You're in my class right now, motherfucker. I am not in yours. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Please don't listen to anyone in the chat that's not a mod that tries to teach you things, because most of the time they have no fucking clue what they're talking about. So let's just listen again. I have to listen again because we got distracted by a retard in the chat who thinks he knows more than me when he doesn't.
Property shifts hands more rapidly today, but the concept is the same. The idea of ownership legitimizes the use of violence to enforce artificial imbalances in access to land and resources.
Enforces artificial imbalances in access to land and resources. Some people own more land than other people. Some people have more money than other people. What they are saying is this creates a hierarchy of haves and have-nots. We got a Rumble rant from Ding Ding Ding. You're the best at this type of analysis. Thank you so much for your effort. I learn new things every show. Thank you, Ding Ding Ding. I appreciate you holding down the fort on Rumble.
Some people imagine that property could exist without the state, but property rights are meaningless without a centralized authority to impose them. As long as a centralized authority exists, nothing is truly yours either. The money you make is minted by the state, subject to tax and inflation. The title for your car is...
Aha! Lucy's picking it up. Ownership causes violence. Ownership causes wars because countries literally go to war over land. That is what imperialism is. Imperialism, according to Lenin, was the highest form of capitalism. Imperialism means going into a war for land. Colonization and colonialism, the theft of property, is under imperialism. Capitalism causes violence. Capitalism causes war. Capitalism causes death. Capitalism causes genocide. Capitalism causes all pain and suffering. And here's another thing, Lucy, and this is for everyone else too. They literally believe that the existence of the capitalist system is doing violence to them. So why is Antifa engaging violently? Why does Antifa feel justified in engaging violently? Because they literally believe they are being oppressed by the violent system of capitalism all the time. Regardless of whether or not they are getting physically injured, it doesn't matter. They believe that the existence of the capitalist system is in itself violence to them. And so because capitalism is violence, they have the ability to respond with violence regardless if they have sustained any physical injury or not. Well done, Lucy. Well done.
Controlled by the DMV. Your house doesn't belong to you.
Yo, T-Mac! T-Mac! W's, bro! Thank you for the 10 gifted channel memberships. Appreciate all your support this week. Good sir. You rock. Big support. They're about to talk about how you don't actually own your house, which I think people will like, especially if they're libertarians. Look at what this sign says. Look at the sign in the building. I know this might be hard to read. Let me add T-Max to the membership goal or the membership tally before we continue so I don't forget. Look at what this sign says in the windows. Capitalism left this building dead. We, communists, brought it back to life. They're saying, basically, what you see here is an image of a building they took over. There are entire zines that teach anarchists how to squat in buildings and take them over, essentially. So they're saying capitalism let this building go, and we came and took it over, and we brought this building back to life because fuck property ownership.
Oppose them. As long as a centralized authority exists, nothing is truly yours either. The money you make is minted by the state, subject to tax and inflation.
Capitalist
The
state.
title for your car is controlled by the DMV. Your house doesn't belong to you, but the bank that gave you the mortgage. Even if you own it outright, eminent domain trumps any deed. What would it take to protect the things that are important to us? Governments only exist by virtue of what they take from us. They will always take more than they give. Markets only reward us for fleecing our fellows and others for fleecing us. The only real insurance is in our social ties. If we want to be sure of our security, we need mutual aid networks that can defend themselves. Without property or money rights, our relationships to things would be determined by our relationships with each other.
Did you notice how central mutual aid networks are to their ability to defend themselves? When I say the left is funded by mutual aid, I don't mean nonprofits. I don't mean NGOs. This is not even the first time they've mentioned mutual aid in this publication. They see mutual aid networks, networks that exist outside of the capitalist system. Leftists believe that nonprofits are capitalism. They write about this. They say it explicitly. They believe NGOs are capitalism. This is why they do not take money from nonprofits. They do not take money from NGOs. If you do not understand this about the left, you do not understand them. They believe these are elements that uphold the capitalist system. When they are funding their efforts by mutual aid, they are making, again, the deliberate decision to operate outside of the capitalist system so capitalism doesn't impose itself on what they're doing. Yeah, voluntarism would be considered mutual aid. Like if you voluntarily give cash or like goods to someone, that's a form of mutual aid. Exactly. It's like passing the collection. Exactly. This is like people saying, hey, I can throw in $10 to this. Hey, I can give you a ride to that. Hey, I can donate a whole bunch of Plan B. I can donate a box of condoms or a box of dildos, as it were, which literally that happened in Minneapolis. That like someone actually donated a box of dildos. That was mutual aid. So it's all mutual aid comes from the community. Mutual aid is community giving and community support. It is community supported cash, goods, and services. It is passing the collection plate at church. It does not come from nonprofits. It does not come from NGOs. It comes from people in the community. So this is why they display banners and flags in safe spaces. Well, they want people to know who they are. I mean, you can't organize with them if they don't know who you are, right?
Markets only reward us for fleecing our fellows and others for fleecing us.
What stops the right from doing mutual aid? They are some lazy motherfuckers who don't know how to do it. Great question. What stops the right from organizing like the left does? They are lazy motherfuckers who won't do it. The right already does this stuff. Passing the collection plate at church is mutual aid. If you put money in the collection plate at church, you are engaging in mutual aid. Will the right do it for political organizing? No. No. I'm with them on that. Nonprofits are, I'm sorry, I'm using a mocking voice and I don't mean to. I'm with them on that. Nonprofits are bought off by the government. Okay, so essentially, this idea that conservatives have that mutual aid is really money given to them from nonprofits, that's completely wrong. Explicitly, the left says that if we take money from nonprofits, we are going to have to give up violent direct action. So they believe that any money coming from nonprofits, any money coming from NGOs is fundamentally tainted and prevents them from organizing and doing violent direct action. And so they explicitly reject it for that reason. So yeah, the left believes that it always comes with strings attached, and that's why they don't fuck with it. And again, they say this explicitly in their organizing documents. So anyone who says that mutual aid donations are really secret nonprofit NGO donations, that is completely wrong, and it just shows they don't understand what mutual aid is.
The only real insurance is in our social ties. If we want to be sure of our security, we need mutual aid networks that can defend themselves. Without property or money rights, our relationships to things would be determined by our relationships with each other. Today, it is just the other way around. Our relationships with each other are determined by our relationships to things. Doing away with property wouldn't mean you would lose your belongings. It would mean that no sheriff or stock market crash could take away the things you depend on. Instead of answering to bureaucracy, we could begin from human needs. Instead of taking advantage of each other, we would pursue the advantages of interdependence.
Oh, thank you so much, Chicalago, for the Karlyn Security Fund. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you very much.
A scoundrel's worst fear is a society without property. For
my camera went out. I don't know what happened. I'm back. They just said a scoundrel's worst fear is a society without property.
Things you depend on. Instead of answering to bureaucracy, we could begin from human needs. Instead of taking advantage of each other, we would pursue the advantages of interdependence. A scoundrel's worst fear is a society without property, for without it, he will only get the respect he deserves. Without money, people are valued for what they contribute to others' lives, not for what they can bribe others to do. Without profit, every effort must be its own reward, so there is no incentive for meaningless or destructive activity. The things that really matter in life, passion, camaraderie, generosity, are available.
I mean, I don't hear them use the word scoundrel often, but it's a good one, isn't it? They tend to be more flowery in their language, in their pamphlets than they are. So this is, we haven't been reading as much leftist propaganda lately, but we probably should be. We always should be, honestly. But like, it's harder to get an audience for it when protests aren't happening. But like, in their pamphlets, this is a pamphlet. In their pamphlets, they are very flowery and dramatic with their language. So it can, like, words like scoundrel are going to come up and stuff like this, even though you might not hear it in their presentations.
In abundance. It takes legions of police and property surveyors to impose the scarcity that traps us in this rat race. The last crime. Every order is founded on a crime against the preceding order, the crime that dissolved it. Afterwards, the new order comes to be perceived as legitimate, as people begin to take it for granted. The founding crime of the United States of America was the rebellion against the authority of the King of England. The founding crime of the society to come, if we manage to survive this one, will do away with the laws and institutions of today.
Oh! The founding crime of the post-capitalist communist world will do away with the institutions of today. That means the government. That means the Constitution. That means money. That means property ownership. Status quo just went offline. That means borders. That means all the things that they've covered thus far in this pamphlet. They want to do, they want to do away with all the institutions of today. So let me ask you this. Is there anyone in the chat who literally just discovered that communists want to overthrow the government because a DSA clip went viral a week ago? One in the chat, if like you're brand new here, and again, I'm not trying to make you feel bad if you're brand new. We love it when new people join us. We love it when new people come and learn. We love it when new people ask questions. I'm honestly just curious. One in the chat, if you are just like totally new to this and you just discovered like a week ago that the goal of socialists like people in the DSA or like Antifa is to overthrow the government. One in the chat, if like that was new information to you based on a clip that just went viral. Two in the chat if you knew that already. And again, no shade if you're new. I mean, certainly I think for people that might have been a wake-up call. I would hope it might be a wake-up call. But so we do have some ones. We do have some people that like literally just found this out. Okay. For the people who just discovered this, it's not your fault you just discovered it. But what I really want you to understand is socialists and communists have been saying this for fucking ever. I really want you to think about this. If you literally just found out because of a viral clip on conservative media about overthrowing the government, that is what they want to do, I want you to really understand how much your media has fucking failed you. I have been talking about the left's desire to overthrow the government for at least 3 fucking years. Because we have been clipping them for like at least 3 years, saying it explicitly. These documents have always existed. They are publicly available. Antifa specifically pushes this document all the time. This document is handed out at far left events all over the country. They are not shy about what they're doing. The DSA wants to overthrow the government. They just want to do it from the inside. So the DSA are reformist socialists. They are not revolutionary socialists. The DSA are reformist socialists. So there's a difference between reformists and revolutionaries. But both reformists and revolutionaries want to overthrow capitalism. You cannot overthrow capitalism without overthrowing the US government. The DSA wants to do it from the inside. The revolutionaries want to do it from the outside, is essentially the deal. So I really want people to understand this. If you just discovered this, it is because your own media and your own influencers never told you the truth about what is going on. And this is, again, why I harp so much on the left's definition of capitalism. Because you must understand, when they are saying capitalism, they mean the United States government. They mean the United States Constitution. Every time. They believe the government and the Constitution was built on property ownership. They believe that the Constitution was only written to uphold the property ownership class. Okay? You cannot overthrow capitalism without abolishing the government and abolishing the Constitution and abolishing every system that currently upholds our way of life and replacing it with something different.
Abundance. It takes legions of police and property surveyors to impose the scarcity that traps us in this rat race. The last crime. Every order is founded on a crime against the preceding order, the crime that dissolved it. Afterwards, the new order comes to be perceived as legitimate as people begin to take it for granted. The founding crime of the United States of America was the rebellion against the authority of the King of England. The founding crime of the society to come, if we manage to survive this one, will do away with the laws and institutions of today. The category of crime holds everything that exceeds the limits of a society, its worst and its best. Every system is haunted by all that it cannot incorporate or control. Every order contains the seeds of its own destruction. Nothing lasts forever. That goes for empires and civilizations too. But what could supersede this one? Can we imagine an order not premised on the division of life into legitimate and illegitimate, legality and criminality, rulers and ruled? What could be the last crime? Anarchy is what happens wherever order is not imposed by force. It is freedom, the process of continually reinventing ourselves and our relationships. Any freely occurring process.
When they say the term liberation, they mean free oneself from capitalism. When they say the term abolition, they mean abolish the capitalist system. When they say we're not free until everyone is free, what they mean is no one is free in a world with capitalism. When they say queers for Palestine and conservatives don't understand, they're like, isn't that chickens for KFC? Queer is about the annihilation of capitalist normative values. Specifically, in Toward the Queerest Insurrection, they say, queer liberation means the annihilation of capitalism. That is a direct quote from one of the most influential queer ideology documents that exists in the world today, or in the United States. Queers for Palestine says the enemy of queers are capitalism. The enemies of Palestinians are capitalism because Israel are the capitalists. They are the settler colonists that stole the land. Queers for Palestine means the overthrow of capitalism. It means being in solidarity with other people who are oppressed by capitalism, okay? When they say, we keep us safe in the protests, the chants in the protests always mean something. It's why we listen to them. We keep us safe. The community are responsible for keeping the comrades safe in the face of the capitalist menace until they are able to liberate themselves from the system that is oppressing everyone, okay? To them, the abolition of capitalism means freedom. Freedom from an oppressive, violent monster. And all the different connotations of capitalism, whether that be the government or the police or borders or whatever it is, all of that stuff goes when they get their anarcho-communist utopia.
Or phenomenon, a rainforest, a circle of friends, your own body, is an anarchic harmony that persists through constant change. Top-down control, on the other hand, can only be maintained by constraint or coercion, the precarious discipline of the
top-down control means capitalism because it means hierarchy. It means there's a leader that is exerting control. The left wants a non-hierarchical society.
High school detention room, the factory farm in which pesticides and herbicides defend sterile rows of genetically modified corn, the fragile hegemony of a superpower. Anarchism is the idea that everyone is entitled to complete self-determination. No law, government, or decision-making process is more important than the needs and desires of actual human beings. People should be free to shape their relations to their mutual satisfaction and to stand up for themselves as they see fit. Anarchism is not a dogma or a blueprint. It is not a system that would supposedly work if only it were applied right, like democracy, nor a goal to be realized in some far-off future like communism. It is a way of acting and relating that we can put into practice right now. In reference to any value...
Yes, this is a good question from Gorenstein. They also believe Stalinist Russia was capitalist. Yes, because they believe that Stalin created hierarchies. They basically believe that Stalin fucked everything up by creating hierarchies. They also believe that Stalin fucked things up by only focusing on Russia, because Russia has a border, right? In order to do communism correctly, you need to be global. There needs to be no borders. But Stalin only focused on Russia, and he created hierarchies. And so therefore, it was capitalist, it was hierarchical, it was oppressive. So this is why people making arguments around all of the evils of Stalinism, the left doesn't even give a fuck because they're like, yeah, fuck Stalin. Stalin fucked all that shit up. And the reason Stalin fucked that shit up is because he was still imposing capitalism. He didn't understand. So yeah, exactly. Hey, Chicago Hood. Thank you for all you've taught those who care to know the real truth. You have opened my eyes. I'm so grateful for your security fund. I'm leaving demon-infested Illinois next month. I so appreciate the $10. It's so generous, especially considering you're moving. That's why I married my mover, so I never have to pay moving expenses again. That's why I married my mover. But I am glad that you're getting out. You know what? You know what's so sad about Chicago? Chicago is a genuinely beautiful city. I love walking around Chicago when I'm in a safe neighborhood, right? Chicago is, if you've never been to Chicago and you think it's like, Chicago is a genuinely beautiful city. It has a genuinely beautiful culture outside of the violence and all the black people shooting each other and all that stuff. It is breathtaking in its like architecture and all that stuff. And it just fucking sucks that the left controls Chicago and most of Illinois because it is truly just like one of the most spectacular places when you have time to spend there and you're in a safe neighborhood, and it sucks and it really pisses me off. And they have the best hot dogs too. If you've never had a Chicago hot dog, it is like the best hot dog you're ever going to have. And I've got like a 4-hour layover at O'Hare when I fly to when I go to Madison in a couple of days, and you bet your ass I'm getting a Chicago hot dog while I'm in the Chicago airport. Even though it's not Chicago proper, I'm still getting that hot dog, and I might even get the popcorn with the cheese popcorn mixed with the caramel popcorn, because that is so good. They also have a Beecher's with the mac and cheese, which Beecher's mac and cheese is the best mac and cheese you'll ever have. I know I'm not supposed to eat carbs, but like, it doesn't count if you eat it at the airport. That's the fucking rule, right? It just doesn't count if you eat it while you're at the airport. I mean, deep dish pizza's fine. Deep dish pizza's good, but like, it's not as exciting as a Chicago hot dog. Yeah, Garrett's popcorn. Yeah, that shit is great.
System or course of action, we can begin by asking, how does it distribute power? Anarchists oppose all forms of hierarchy, even currency that concentrates power into the hands of a few, every mechanism that puts us at a distance from our potential. Against closed systems, we relish the unknown before us, the chaos within us, by virtue of which we are able to be free. When we see what all the different institutions and mechanisms of domination have in common, it becomes clear that our individual struggles are also part of something greater than us, something that could connect us. When we come together on the basis of this connection, everything changes. Not only our struggles, but also our sense of agency, our capacity for joy, the sense that our lives have meaning. All it takes to find each other is to begin acting according to a different logic.
There it is. There it is. Guys, this document that we just spent a lot of time reading and breaking down is one of the foundational documents that literal Antifa distributes all over the country to explain what they believe. And I know it uses flowery language, and I know it doesn't deep dive into every little detail, but when you understand the language, you understand what they're saying, okay? One in the chat if you feel like you have a better understanding now of what the far left believes than before you started this stream. 2 in the chat if this was a big waste of time. 1 in the chat if you learned something new today and you feel like you have a better understanding of what the far left believes than before we started. 2 if this was a big waste of your time and you knew all this stuff already. Cool. Lots of, and this is why, guys, this is why, hey, thank you. You're giving me an apple. I'm getting an apple for being a teacher today. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. Guys, and this is why. I know that some people don't like the yelling, but I've been doing this long enough to know that when people are being disrespectful in the chat, it's going to fuck everything up. So we have to do a little yelling at the beginning. But did you see how everything calmed down after a while? Did you see that after we timed people out and excised the retards who were making it all about them? Did you see how smoothly that went for like the entire back half of the stream? Did you see how much better that was? I know people think I should stop the yelling. Well, no. Some people love the fucking yelling. Let's just be honest. Let me ask you guys this. 1 in the chat if you like the yelling. 2 in the chat if I should do less of it. This is the reality of teaching a public class on the internet. It just is. Anyone can come into my chat and say whatever they want. And we have to create an environment where people know that is completely against the community norms of what we're doing. And it is completely like, it is not productive to what we're doing at all. And if people are just going to be like, meh, 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 in the chat, it just doesn't work. So I appreciate people putting up with the yelling because we have to get the tards out. And we have to lay down the law, because once people have the opportunity to like concentrate and listen to what's being said, they are able to create a much more in-depth understanding of what is going on and why everything is happening. And I promise you, for people who are new, if you stick around the channel, you will be as annoyed by the retards as we are. There are so many people in my chat that they were like, Karlyn, I used to hate the yelling, but now I understand it. Like you spend about 6 months around this channel and you guys see the level of bullshit that I have to deal with. You're gonna be like, okay, Karlyn, I understand now. I understand. Well, Connor, you redeemed yourself by paying attention and listening. And we like that. We like that. If you redeemed yourself by like shutting the fuck up and listening to what was going on, and then you started asking good questions, and then you got points back, which people can always do, right? People can always do. But like, you know, and I'm just talking now, we're gonna wrap the stream up in a second. But one of the things I've come to understand about the conservative right is that they are literally trained by social media just to fight with everyone at all times. Like, and if you guys haven't recognized this yet, maybe you'll start seeing it after I explain it. Literally, all right-wingers do is just argue with people and insult them and give history lessons all the time. What you need to know is in the 50s, this happened, and no, we're not talking about the fucking 50s. Shut the fuck up. But this is why this is Yuri Bezmenov. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's like they cannot help but demonstrate that they believe they are the smartest person in the room and that they know everything at all times. Okay? And so one of the challenges that we've had to combat for a while is that we constantly get people in the chat who think that they know everything when in fact they don't know shit. And so we have to set a standard for those people very, very, very quickly. And we have to teach them, like, this is how you learn about a subject. You don't argue with everything. You don't debunk everything. Well, the left is stupid for reason X, Y, B, and Z. Okay, did you win any points there? Doesn't the left know real communism has never been tried? Who are you trying to convince here? Who, like, literally, who are you trying to convince? And so it's like every time people spend time debunking things, they are not learning. Every time people spend time giving a history lesson, and by the way, if you think I haven't been given every fucking history lesson on communism over the past 5 years that exists in fucking humanity, you are out of your mind. It's not that I have not been given the history lesson. It's not that I'm unaware of the fucking history lesson. It's that it is completely irrelevant to what we are doing right now. So shut up and pay attention to what we're actually doing. I used to think I knew shit because I watched James Lindsay. I soon found out that I didn't know shit after watching Karlyn. Yeah, common story. Fuck James Lindsay. James Lindsay lied to so many people. He lied to so many people. So we have to actively combat this conservative, like, reflex to argue with everyone at all times, because it's not helpful. You're not going to win any points here. You're not going to convince anyone. Yo, did you find it, Reagan? You guys want to watch the Harrison shout out before we wrap up the stream so I can see it? Let's watch the Harrison shout out, shall we? Let's watch the gentleman and the scholar, Mr. Harrison Smith, talking about me and showing my work. That'd be rad. That'd be rad. Let me see. 5:33. Yo! Great, Otis in with another 100, bro. You're so generous this week. Big support. Love you. Appreciate you. Did you enjoy Jer having to delete over 2,500 short videos on YouTube? Because I did enjoy that. The quartering had to delete all his fucking shorts. That was awesome. He was so pissed about it too because he was drunk tweeting or something. I haven't dug into all that yet, but I did see tell of it. But yes, yeah, the quartering is so fucked. He's so fucking fucked, and it's so funny. It's so fucking funny. Fuck the quartering. Okay, what did you say? 5. Yo, that's me. This is my part. Hang on. Here it is. Found it.
I don't know if you know this. Do you know that there is a Black Lives Matter autonomous zone being built right now in Madison, Wisconsin?
Yeah,
Have you heard about this?
I did.
Has there been any reporting on this?
I did it.
Which is another thing I forgot to mention that.
I did it.
Sorry, totally slipped my mind.
I did the reporting.
Maybe I need to write it down because I'm trying to think of a list of just some of the attacks that have gone not just unconfronted but unpunished now that the dust has settled. And I forgot to mention Black Lives Matter, the movement, and all of its incumbent destruction. Because the thing, all of these things have like all of these sort of offshoot elements to it, right? So you've got COVID-19, that's the virus itself. Alone, that would be bad enough. If all they did was release a mysterious virus and nobody locked down, nobody did anything, but it, killed a bunch of people, that would already have been bad. But then downstream from that, you get the lockdowns, you get, et cetera, et cetera. Same way with like Black Lives Matter. You've got the, destruction that they wrought during the riots that, again, they not only weren't punished for, have actually been paid out for. They actually got paid for rioting, by the city. Like if they got arrested for rioting, they later sued the city and the city turned around and gave them $20 million in the case of New York or Philadelphia. So, and there's this like normalization, I guess, that goes on where because the riots are no longer a daily occurrence, we all just sort of move on. And it's like nothing was done to correct this. And downstream from Black Lives Matter is ESG scores, is the deliberate exclusion of white men from industry in America. It, of course, goes into the immigration program
that's not really related,
because obviously,
but that's okay.
The narrative that they're pushing is white people bad, America bad.
No, Harrison. They don't care about. We're still working on Harrison Smith understanding whiteness means capitalism. We're going to get there. He's a very smart man. I have faith in him. Harrison, I believe in you. This is not about skin color. We're going to get there. It's going to be okay. We just taught him to say my name correctly last time, and now we're going to keep we're going to be like, okay, Harrison, the next lesson is whiteness has nothing to do with skin color. You ready for this?
The intersection of Baldwin and Willie Streets blocked off today. What I've heard referred to as the Corey Ruiz Autonomous Zone.
The craze.
We don't even report on it. Nothing was done to combat Black Lives Matter. Nothing was done to actually stop them from just doing it again whenever the hell they want. None of the people were punished for burning down the buildings or coordinating riots over state lines.
So real. Yep.
Nothing was done to correct the deliberate, very clear, well-examined discrimination that white people face as a consequence of the Black Lives Matter narrative. The crime rate skyrocketing throughout 2020 still hasn't come down to where it was before. Certainly every murder, every theft involved in all of this downstream from Black Lives Matter. Are we ever going to do anything about any of this?
No.
And if so, who's going to do it? And by what mechanism? Because clearly the Republicans just genuinely have no concern about any of this. They just don't. Whatever excuses they want to bring, it doesn't matter at a certain point. But maybe they're scared of being seen as racist because they're cowardly idiots, or maybe they just don't want to put their neck on the line and would rather play it safe because they're cowardly idiots. Whatever reason it is, I think at the end of the day you'll find that we're ruled by cowardly idiots that refuse to do anything for us, even when
it's so good.
It's you don't even need to be compelled. It would just be for the interest of justice or to not let it happen again. These people were personally affected in some cases by some of this stuff. They just don't care. I don't know why. I really don't.
Because they're cowardly idiots.
The Republican Party was given a completely clear runway to deal with all of this stuff. And they've dealt with none of it. No, absolutely none of it.
None of it.
You can add the Charlie Kirk murder to this and the fact that the left celebrated it, bragged about it. They also, by the way, got paid for that. reported on it last week or the week before. The woman, the teacher who was fired because she celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk as a public school teacher, was reinstated and given like $30 million as if it was somehow discriminatory or hurtful to her to be fired for advocating for political.
Someone said he showed my video of the statue. Did he not show the video of the statue? Was someone lying to me? Someone said he showed the video of the statue. Well, whatever. If he didn't, that's fine. At least he reported on it. At least he fucking reported on it, so that's something. Oh, maybe they were confused and they thought that was my video. They were probably confused and they thought that was my video. Okay, whatever. You know what? Doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You want to know why? Because at least Harrison is fucking reporting on it. At least he is reporting on it. And that's what's important. And that's what's important. Yo! Simona with a 50. Girl, nice to see you. Welcome back. Yeah, we're still doing streams most day, but I'm going to Madison on Thursday, so we'll see what's going on. Stay strong, girlie. Always rooting for you. Thank you so much, Simona. You guys came through with some big support today. Really appreciate it. And I'm deadly serious when I say the proceeds from today and tomorrow are going to go to the Karlyn Security Detail Fund. I'm not just being funny about that. You guys are getting me off on an excellent start towards the Karlyn getting a security person fund. And so for when I'm in Madison. And so I appreciate that. So I promise you, I will not be buying a luxury handbag with the donations from any of the streams this week, honestly. Like I won't be buying. All donations this week are going to the Get Karlyn's Ass to Wisconsin fund, and make sure she doesn't get the shit kicked out of her when she's doing it. That is where the donations are going this week. They're not going to a luxury handbag. They're not going to anything fun. No, that's not true. Wisconsin's going to be incredibly fun. And I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I should make a special request that my security detail be black. I maybe should do that. Yeah. So I so appreciate it, guys. I so appreciate all the super chats you guys sent in today. Big support. Love to see it. I so appreciate the 100 and some odd 111 angel numbers. I so appreciate the 111 gifted channel memberships given out today. And we'll do another round of fundraising for getting Karlyn a security detail tomorrow. And I so appreciate it. No, Brandon Tatum can kiss my fucking ass. That guy's a fucking loser, fucking grifter faggot, and he can fuck off. No offense. Brandon Tatum can kiss my ass. I don't need any fucking help from Brandon fucking Tatum. No, we're not doing Disenraged tonight because I said, Jennifer, I got too much shit to do. I'm getting on an airplane on Thursday. And Jennifer said, okay, so I'm sorry. We're not going to do Disenraged tonight. I'm planning on being back next week and we will do it then because I got shit to do. Okay. I got shit to do. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. Don't worry about it. Guys, never feel guilty if you can't give. Give when you can, if you feel like it. And I appreciate it. I am 100% funded by people like you. The reason I get to go to Madison on Thursday to document it and to show you guys what's going on and to explain it and break it down is because you guys are allowing me to do it. So I really appreciate all the donations. You guys rock. I will be back tomorrow for another stream at 5 p.m. And I hope you guys hang out. I hope you hang out. Make sure you mount the like button on the way out the door. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Antifa people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.